Give us just a minute.
It's on YouTube.
Give us just a minute. Oh, wow. That is weird. Okay. Hang on. Buddy. Councilman Kaplan, did you say that you saw it on channel 77? Or no, just YouTube?
I just saw that you shared it to YouTube. I actually got rid of Optimum due to connectivity problems and recently switched over to Fios.
Power to you.
77.
All right, so we are live on YouTube. The recording has started. I have shared it to Facebook. Let me start the internal recording. Okay. All right, Mayor, whenever you're ready. Yeah, we're good. Sorry, Mayor, 1 second, 30 seconds. One last call.
Okay.
Because, you know, our control station for public access streaming is
Yeah,
above.
you're on 77, Doug. It's showing up on 77. I just checked Optimum.
Okay, awesome.
77 is fine.
All right, everybody set? Everybody's here? Okay. All right, let's call the meeting. Let's rise for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Here.
Councilman Began,
Present.
Councilwoman Organ,
Here.
Councilman Kaplan,
Here,
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Here,
Deputy Mayor Katz, Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 203-2019, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2020 by way of resolution number 218-2019, filing a copy in the township clerk's office and posting it on the municipal building bulletin board, and the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Clerk. Announcements for today. Township Administration present at today's meeting. Dean Kaczynski, Township Manager. Back at the mothership, we have Doug Roussillon, Acting Township Clerk, Clarence Barnes, our Building Maintenance Worker, Ron Goodman, our Volunteer Cablecaster. Thank you, Ron. And with us today is John Shadanian from the law firm of McCusker and Selmy, Rosen, and Carvelli. Upcoming events and council meetings. At this point in time, I would like everybody to stand for a moment of silence for Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Thank you. The next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, October 20th at 8 p.m. And again, a friendly reminder, don't forget to fill out your 2020 census. I can tell you from experience, my wife is an enumerator and they are starting to say no more assignments. So it's everybody doing it for themselves. It's very, very important that they get the census done. We're doing well, we're doing better than the county, but we should be doing even better still. Teaneck's local Jay Levin's book, Images of America Teaneck, is still on sale in the township clerk's office for $20. The council met in closed session to discuss the following. board interviews, legal issues and or opinions on any item or open session agenda, litigation updates, and Oprah. So now we'll move on to presentations. The first one I have is Age-Friendly Teaneck.
I'm bringing in Miss Cates right now.
May I begin, Mayor?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Miss Cates, did you have someone else that we had to bring in, or is it just you?
No, I'll speak briefly and then EJ Nicholas will be speaking. She should be in.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Thank you. I am project advisor, previously project coordinator of Age-Friendly Teaneck. Thank you to the council for permitting us to report the findings of our recent survey, which we undertook to gauge the impact of the pandemic on the day-to-day challenges facing older Teaneck residents, particularly those who live alone with few transportation options. We have already shared with you the summary of key findings, which is posted on our website. Isolated older adults are a priority of our initiative. Regrettably, the pandemic forced us to cancel a series of community table dinners for more than 20 isolated older residents. We thank the manager and recreation superintendent for arranging the use of a senior van and driver. After the project was canceled, Age-Friendly Teaneck social work interns stayed in contact via telephone with our invitees, several of whom described intensifying struggles. As the pandemic stretches on, additional outreach efforts would help ensure the safety and well-being of Teaneck's vulnerable older adults. However, social services, including counseling and resource referral, are needed not only in a time of crisis, they are essential services for an older population adjusting to changing health, social, mobility, and financial circumstances. EJ Nicholas, our project coordinator, a licensed social worker, will be leading our future efforts along with Executive Director Elizabeth Davis, Communications Coordinator Colleen Diskin, and myself. EJ will describe our next steps.
Thank you, Jackie. I really look forward to working with our team, including the Township Council, on making our community more age-friendly. The Teaneck community should be proud of the many collaborations in the early days of the pandemic. Municipal officials, community organizations, and individual volunteers joined forces to provide food, resources, and a range of other assistance to our Teaneck residents in need. On the fly, makeshift solutions were put into action and many lessons were learned. The struggles that older adults routinely faced were made aware to the public eye. Once simple acts like grocery shopping and visiting with friends were now fraught with stress and strangeness. They were, and still are, limits on activities, shrunken social circles, constant worries about health and finances. As we all experience increased stress and social isolation, we can perhaps reflect more about our own expectations for the kind of home and community life we will want and need in the future. As we move forward, Age-Friendly Teaneck would like to work with township leaders to use the insights gained during this crisis to develop new plans of action. Teaneck's wonderful recreation programs for older adults are a vital asset, and the township deserves much credit for funding diverse programs that others may lack. Many of those programs are at capacity, however, and it is our hope that we can work with the township to create more social engagement opportunities at the new Community Resource Center located inside the Affordable Senior Housing Building planned for Teaneck Road. Holy Name Medical Center and Jewish Family and Children's Services of Northern New Jersey will provide services and programs at the site. And we think there's an opportunity to collaborate with the township and other community organizations on additional programs for older adults. Our survey examined older residents' access and ability to use digital technology and found that roughly 1/4 of respondents did not have a smartphone, and the same proportion did not have a computer. 2/3, did not have access to video chat services, and nearly 1 in 5 do not have any internet service at home. For the increasing number of older adults who live alone, who no longer drive, or who have mobility limitations, technology can really become a lifeline to help them access needed resources and avoid social isolation and its associated health woes. But that's true only if they have the means to afford it and the knowledge of how to make the best use of it. Age-Friendly Teaneck, with the support of the township manager and in partnership with the Teaneck's Public Library, is embarking on a program to create technology training to air on the township's Cablevision and Fios public access channels, such as this township council meeting. We also hope to expand this new program to include one-on-one digital training in a socially distant format. We're eager to work with the township leaders and any other organizations in devising ways to use technology and create new social engagement opportunities and intergenerational programs. We also learned from our survey that nearly 3/4 of respondents were not aware of the township social worker position, and a third had not learned about the Teaneck Fire Department's morning checkup program. 2 township services we think more older adults could be benefiting from. Oftentimes, older adults go without the services and assistance they need, largely because they don't know that the help and assistance exists. To remedy this, we have created an older adult resource guide and print and electronic newsletters to educate about crucial services. But older adults need more than just information. They need navigators, people who can really assess their needs and arrange assistance. The township, to its credit, is one of the few communities in the area to recognize the value of having a social worker on staff. It's unfortunate, however, that the social work position has been temporarily staffed on only a part-time basis, and we would urge you to please try to find a way to return this to a full-time staffed position as soon as possible. In the chaotic early days of the pandemic, Teaneck's municipal staff could have benefited from having a social worker on duty for more hours as they fielded calls from residents that were not health emergencies, but nonetheless needed required attention and action. A social worker could help the township administration in developing strategies for better serving, housing, and engaging the growing populations of older adults. Age-Friendly Teaneck has set aside money in its budget for a township social worker to receive training in age-friendly concepts, a perspective that's greatly needed in our changing society. I would like to close my presentation by asking you to closely review the housing information graphic we included with our survey materials. It's titled, "A Look at Teaneck's Older Adults and Their Housing Challenges." We believe strongly that Teaneck needs a plan for promoting more diversity in its housing stock and for increasing public awareness of housing alternatives. According to census estimates, more than 2,900 Teaneck residents over the age of 60 live alone, and majority of them live in single-family homes. As their mobility declines with age, we're going to need more creative solutions for preventing social isolation and offering supportive services to this population. The township's housing stock was built largely to meet the needs of families raising young children, and as such, it lacks enough affordable alternatives for low to moderate income adults, particularly retirees looking to downsize. We would like to offer our assistance in working with the township to promote more housing diversity and also to educate the populace about creative solutions such as home sharing and accessory dwelling units. Our fundamental goal is to make this a community one that is as great a place to grow old as it is to grow up. But too often we hear sentiments like this one that was expressed in one of our surveys. It reads, "Teaneck is my home. I want to stay in Teaneck when I retire, but the fact is, I won't be able to afford it." Thank you, Council, for your time, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have about our survey findings and our programming plans. And as Jackie mentioned earlier, these materials can be found on our website at www.agefriendlyteaneck.org.
Thank you, EJ, and thank you, Mayor Katz, for doing a great job in presenting for the seniors of our town. Does anybody have any questions?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'll just make a comment. Thank you very much. It was a great presentation. We look forward, and as I say this as a liaison to the planning board, and as someone pushing the affordable housing projects, we look forward to working with you in the future on additional housing projects that we've already started investigating. We'll have more details on that over the next few months. And I look forward to seeing you at the ribbon cutting for 1425 Teaneck Road.
Mayor, can I just make one quick comment?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to make a point in the 2021 budget to fill the social services specialist position, and that's the title through civil service to full-time. I know there's a pending matter that has delayed this process, but there certainly is a need. I have spoken to the police department, our health department, and others, and there really is a strong need to make that position back to full-time, and I'm certainly going to do my best to incorporate that into the 2021 budget. Again, although we have a matter pending that has really not allowed us to do it, I'm going to try to move forward with it in 2021.
Great, Dean. I saw some other hands. Councilman Rice?
Yes, Dean, I want to thank you for that, because as you noted, especially I think we were made very keenly aware during the pandemic how important that position is. So thank you for planning for that. Also, I just wanted to ask if we could solicit the help of Age-Friendly Teaneck. As you guys well know, that we are not permitted to give preferential treatment to our Teaneck residents. However, we would love to make sure that we can partner with Age-Friendly so that we can do the best job possible of notifying our residents in Teaneck and helping them with the application process so that they would be ready to have their fair share and their fair shot at the opportunity, knowing that we can't give preferential treatment, but we do want to make sure that we give every effort to our Teaneck residents. So I hope that we can count on your support for that.
Of course, Mr. Mayor, might Elizabeth Davis be able to respond to that?
Sure, go ahead.
It's in her mind. I don't know where she is, but
Oh.
I see her. Let me bring her in. Sorry about that.
And also on that note, can we also share widely when the application process begins, that we can make sure that we make sure all of our residents are fully aware of the process so that they can be prepared to jump on that.
Okay. Ms. Davis, go ahead.
Yes, I have said repeatedly that Age-Friendly Teaneck is happy and willing to play a very big role in mobilizing the community, making sure that we engage all segments of the community to make sure that older adults in Teaneck have equal footing in terms of, knowing about the application process, are given assistance with completing applications, and making sure that applications are submitted in a timely manner so that, we would love to see a large number of Teaneck residents in this new project.
Thank you
Any
very
other
much. And I
questions?
know that
Any other
there's a vested
questions?
interest.
Any questions? Any more questions? Councilman Kaplan?
I just wanted to thank Mayor Cates and Elizabeth Davis, CJ Nicholas, from the reports that you provided us last year. And again, with this information, it's very helpful for us going forward. As you noted, and the census is, very important right now. This is a very large growing population in Teaneck. And I hope we have more of these opportunities, especially going forward, to collaborate so we can meet those needs.
Great. Well, thank you very much for all the work you're doing. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Organ.
It's okay. Hi, Jackie, and so nice to meet you, EJ. We had our first meeting of the Senior Citizen Advisory Board last week. It was outdoors, socially distant, very socially distant, but it was the first meeting since COVID hit. And there was support staff there from the Recreation Department. Mary Beth Hubbard was there and Lisa Skolnick was there. I'm wondering if maybe, EJ, if you would want to start attending those meetings. I think they'll be held monthly, but the rec center reached out to 800 seniors that are signed up with their programming, and it took them a month to 6 weeks to get through all the phone calls to them because it's hard. People don't all have technology, and they are trying to help, but they're limited, and they're limited with ideas. And the seniors that we're meeting were also very limited with ideas. Even the classes that we're starting to hold under the tent at the rec center are limited to 2 classes a day and 15 people per class. But it does seem like there is a lifeline that's missing now. And I'm wondering if, as support staff, maybe you would want to attend meetings or speak. Maybe we could try to work together with them as well.
I'd be happy to. Yeah, I think that's a really wonderful idea.
I do want to say I was not able to attend on last week, but I am a member. That was at the request of former Mayor Hamiduddin. But I think as EJ is coordinating this effort, that would be a very good idea.
Or you could both attend.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the work you're doing for the seniors. It's very,
And
very
thank
important.
you, Dean, for that commitment. You really have made our day.
Good. You have my promise.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Next, we have proclamation Hispanic Heritage Month. Councilmember Pagan.
Gracias. I want to thank Mayor Dunleavy, my fellow council members, and our staff for putting together this proclamation to recognize all of the extraordinary ways Latinos contribute to our community and our nation's success. Latinos are the fastest growing population in the military. Latinos serve in government at local, state, and federal levels, both as elected and appointed officials. Latinos lead in sports and entertainment as players, coaches, producers, directors, actors, and musicians. There are more Latino students than any other ethnic group enrolled right now in our Teaneck public schools. Latinos strengthen our local economy through hard work, dedication, and entrepreneurship. Each and every single day, we see the tremendous impact and influence Latinos have in our community. And although it is a month to celebrate our culture and heritage, we cannot stay silent against injustice. Our community faces racism, colorism, and economic injustices every single day. We also sadly suffered greater rates of infection and death during this current pandemic. We have been labeled as criminals, rapists, and drug dealers much too often in the media and even by the man in the White House who has torn apart families at the border and abandoned my beautiful island of Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. But yet our faith in this country endures. And we continue to believe that hard work and unity will lead to success in Teaneck and across America. Estamos en el mes nacional de la herencia hispana. Entre el 15 de septiembre y el 15 de octubre celebramos el éxito de nuestra comunidad. Tenemos que estar unidos para Teaneck, para seguir mejorando nuestro pueblo donde vivimos y criamos a nuestros niños. I'm going to read a few excerpts from the proclamation now so we can better understand why this month is celebrated from September 15th to October 15th. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month, like its shorter precursor, always starts on September 15th, a historically significant day that marks the anniversary of independence of 5 Latin American countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And whereas the month-long period is also designed to recognize Mexico and Chile, which celebrate their independence on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. And whereas the township of Teaneck is the proud home to more than 7,600 people of Hispanic descent, or approximately 18.9% of its population. And whereas Teaneck's Hispanic community has made valuable contributions to the life and culture of Teaneck, this is the proclamation. It has been signed by the mayor and every council member. I am also excited to present a certificate of recognition to just one of our amazing Latina-owned businesses in Teaneck, Coffee Cal on Teaneck Road. Coffee Cal has remained open and committed to serving Teaneck through this pandemic, donating food to many worthy causes during the last 6 months. This is the certificate, which was also signed by the mayor and every council member. We are lucky to live in a community like Teaneck, where we have a number of Latino residents and Latino businesses that are worth recognizing, and we will continue to do so throughout the course of Hispanic Heritage Month and the rest of the year. And as we celebrate demographics and diversity, I would be remiss if I didn't remind everyone to please complete their census form. The deadline is September 30th. and the census helps bring funding and programs to our community. You count, so please be counted. And again, thank you, Mayor and Council, once again, for recognizing the importance of Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Pagan, and we wish everyone in the Hispanic community congratulations on the month. And thank you for picking Teaneck as your home. We hope you find it to be everything that we think it is. Thank you. Next, another proclamation for Theodora Smiley Lacey. Councilmember Rice, are you presenting?
I did request that, but I did not receive the proclamation.
Okay.
It's in the agenda packet that I had to send yesterday because it was included yesterday. It starts on page 16 and goes to page 17. It should be
Okay,
at the top of your email.
sorry about that.
All good.
In fact, I even searched it, but I didn't realize it was embedded. So I don't want to hold you guys.
All right, so why don't we do this, Councilmember Rice? I'll start to move forward, and when you find it, we can read the proclamation. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
Okay. All right, let's move to work session items. Any miscellaneous? Any old business? Any new business? Any communications? Deputy Mayor Schwartz? No?
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I was signaling for the next one.
Okay.
Committee
I
reports.
just have one communications item. I have continued to try and be in touch with the Department of Health with respect to my concerns, as Councilmember Pagan mentioned earlier, about the impacts of COVID on minority communities, both Black and Hispanic. We're still trying to come up with some data relative to Teaneck. I've gotten a little bit from the county, which actually doesn't look quite as bad as I thought it would. But in addition, I want to try, if possible, to get the DOH to do a testing center here, as well as increase the education to those communities so they have an understanding, better understanding of what they can do to protect themselves and protect their loved ones. So I was told once the budget went to the legislature, they could then turn their attention to this again. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm still in touch with them and still working on that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I was wondering if I can have a moment for a topic I was thinking about for new business.
Sure, go ahead.
I had the pleasure to attend the Board of Ed meeting for the new Theodora Smiley Lacey School, which my daughter, who's in pre-K now, might be one of the first attendees. And I know that Councilwoman Rice had listed the issue about the mural, and as been mentioned before, issues including the DC federal court challenge, which haven't come to a resolution yet, make it so that I can't adequately fulfill that mural idea at this time. But in my opinion, I was thinking, especially hearing the words that were expressed at the event, that we need an effort that's as big as Teaneck. And I doubt many are aware, but throughout the 70s and 80s, the town, in collaboration with the library, embarked on a project to create an oral history of Teaneck. And for those that haven't seen it, it's really a great resource. It connects people, efforts, and the places of Teaneck in a very accessible way. And look, I want to be really clear here. There's a reason we were the first community to do things like voluntarily integrate our schools. And it took a lot of hard effort. And the people that made that effort are still here among us. Yes, there are books about our history, but reading about the events doesn't really give that full picture. And I'd like the council's indulgence for an idea that has a couple parts. The first would be the creation of an art commission. And I'd like its first task to be an undertaking of a large mural, an artistic mural, either in our Central Park votee or by the municipal buildings, highlighting the achievements and efforts of our residents. You know, when I hear the stories about Theodora Lacey, it's not enough just to hear them, but we can have something that's, you know, exceptional. And I'm envisioning a mural containing pictures of not just Miss Lacey, but, you know, our first integrated class, where we have our first elected representatives from the community. You have Isaac McNatt, Lamar Jones, Bernie Brooks, Lizette Parker, and more. They can have a QR code listed with each, which connect to the TNEC virtual library. And the next part I was thinking of would be a true community-wide effort to record our history. And maybe now in the age of Zoom is a really good time to do it. We can have interviewers talking with the kids in those first integrated classrooms, with Miss Lacey herself, with our representatives. We can have, you know, Manager Broughton, BOE Superintendent Irving, our Fire Chief Anthony Verley, the Black residents that haven't merely lived here in TNEC, but form the very basis of what TNEC currently is. And if a council is amenable to such a project, I'd like, as the Board of Ed liaison, to reach out, and the library liaison to reach out to form a commission to work with an art commission, so we can get something that's really something everyone can participate in, that'll highlight not merely the fact that you know, people live here, but we are who we are and what we are because of the efforts of those Black lives that have made us what we are. So in short, I'd like something worthy of TNEC, and I'd like the thoughts of my council members about that kind of a project.
Well, I've actually, go ahead, Councilwoman Organ.
I was just gonna say, I love the idea. I think it should be on a wall in Votee Park, someplace right in the middle of the town, you know, where everybody goes. But I think it's a wonderful idea. I think we have a lot to celebrate, and I think we need to focus on that. I'm wondering if we actually need the art commission to do it, if it's not on the ground, if it's on a wall, do we need that? But that's for the attorney.
Did I see your hand up, Mike?
I think it's a great idea. I'm on board.
Okay. Councilwoman Rice, did you?
Yes, so in addition to finding Theo's proclamation, I do think it's a great idea, but I do think that there are some pressing matters at hand that the community has pressed, hence having it on the agenda, that I'd like to address first. But I think that with regards to the Black Lives Matter mural, but I think that that is indeed an idea, because as was mentioned last Thursday, the Theodore Smiley event, I think brought to so many people's minds who perhaps didn't know the rich history that we have of so many residents here and the pieces that do make our community very unique. So unless there's any other comments, I would like to read the proclamation, or at least portions of it, because it is quite lengthy.
Let me just finish this first, and then yes, absolutely, we want you to read that.
Sure.
So we have a request to pursue some form of township historic mural or artwork. And I think maybe what we need to do is to perhaps create a subcommittee or a task force, actually, to try and look at this and come up with ways in which we can do it. So Councilman Kaplan, would you be willing to head up a subcommittee for that?
If somebody else would prefer to head it up, I love the idea of art. I'm not one who envisions how to actually do it. So I'm more than happy to participate in it, but if somebody else wants to run with it, I'm more than happy to help out as well.
Councilmember Rice, would you like to head this up?
Well, I'm very interested in the idea. However, I must say that Mayor, you know that I did speak with you. Mayor?
Hello, yeah.
I'm sorry. We did speak previously about a task force on community relations. because I did express that there were some concerns about community relations. While I'm very in favor of the art project, I think that there are some soft skills in terms of community relations that we need to address in addition to an art project. So I think that that could be part of the process as we work together towards a unifying endeavor. But I think that there are some serious community relations challenges and concerns that I would love to put a task force, put that forth, that agenda.
Well, I
That would just be my
agree
2
that you,
cents.
I agree that you and I talked about it, but I think we also agreed, excuse me, that we don't want to usurp our advisory board on community relations, who have already been charged with a task of working on things like this. So I think we should see what they do first before we create another task force, which basically overlaps them with the same name. So is there anybody else who wants to serve on a task force for this? Okay, Councilmember Pagan and Councilmember Organ. All right, so I'll say that the three of you, excuse me, Councilmember Organ, Kaplan, and Pagan, will get together and take a look and come up with some recommendations for us on your proposal. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great idea. All right, Councilmember Rice, you want to read the proclamation now?
Sure. I'm sorry. No, I'm stuck. Oh gosh. As you can see, I'm not the best tech savvy person. I have some challenges here. Okay. So whereas Theodore Smiley Lacy was born Theodore Smiley in 1932 in Montgomery, Alabama. And whereas the Lacy family was deeply involved in the civil rights movement, her mother was a childhood friend of Rosa Parks, and her father, a high school principal, was president of the board of directors of the Drexel Avenue Baptist Church of 1954, where the new pastor chose their new pastor, Martin Luther King Jr., and whereas Miss Lacy graduated from the Alabama State College, and she was a teaching science at George Washington Carver High School. Lacy became an activist in the Montgomery bus boycotts. She attended meetings, typing press release, driving participants to the boycotts who didn't own cars, and relied on the bus system for their jobs. After a successful conclusion of the boycotts, Lacy and her husband, Archie Lacy, continued their civil rights activism by traveling throughout Alabama, researching voter registration and injustices in the political system, which research was used to support litigation against disenfranchisement of Black voters in the state. And whereas in 1961, Lacy's moved to Teaneck, where they soon were joined by the Fair Housing Council of Northern New Jersey, which tested home sellers and real estate brokers who pretended to be interested in buying homes listed for sale, first sending a Black family who would find a house no longer on the market, followed by a white family who would be invited to negotiate. And whereas the Lacys also founded the Northeast Community Organization, the NECO, which worked to integrate the public schools by advocating for an open enrollment policy, allowing Teaneck families to opt out of their neighborhood schools and send their children to any school in the district, which led Teaneck, the school board, to make Bryant Schools the town's central and only middle school, thereby ending the de facto racial segregation of smaller schools. Sorry. Okay. I would want to make sure that our residents be able to take advantage of this fully, because there's so much rich history and information here. But I do want to say that she was the co-founder of the African American Advisory Committee and Bergen County Martin Luther King Jr. Monument Committee, which was established in 2010 to raise money to erect the now life-size bronze statue and sculpture that was commissioned and sits at the Fairleigh Dickinson site. She was a co-founder of Teens Talk About Racism, an annual diversity conference for high school students throughout Bergen County. In 2011, she joined People's Organization for Progress, which organized a campaign calling for 381 days of protest. She is the recipient of numerous awards, including the Master Teacher Award, Teachers Training Institute, Teacher of the Year, a whole paragraph including who's who of American teachers, of Lifetime Awards, and also including the Trailblazer Award from Councilwoman Lizette Parker. And whereas the Bergen County YWCA listed Theodora Lacey as the Racial Justice Award, which was given annually, recognizing her for lifelong commitment towards the elimination of racism. And whereas the Board of Education renamed the school at 1 Marison Street and rededicated it as the Theodore Smiley Lacey on September 17th, 2020. And we have in conclusion here, James Dunleavy, Mayor of the Teaneck Township, on behalf of the entire Township Council and in recognition of the lifetime of service provided by Theodore Smiley Lacey in working towards the elimination of racism and the fostering of equal opportunities and justice for all people, regardless of race, color, and ethnicity, do hereby proclaim September 17th, 2020 as Theodore Smiley Lacey Day in the Township of Teaneck, witnessed on this day of the 22nd of September by the mayor. So thank you so much for indulging that 2-page long legacy of Miss Theo Lacey, which we are proud to say we call her our hometown hero. And we're so glad to join in the celebration of her, which was also featured on Channel 7 News by our own Anthony Johnson, and it was a very proud day for Teaneck.
Thank you, Councilman Rice. I was honored to represent the council and make some remarks at that event. It was a wonderful, wonderful event, honoring a wonderful, wonderful person who has simply done it all for other people. And her focus has always been on others throughout her life, whether it be teaching, whether it be in her activities with civil rights. She is a great jewel for Teaneck to have. And I know I've looked at the list here. I believe that Ms. Lacey is on. And so I just want to again thank her for everything she has done for this town and for America. You have truly been a leader in all of those areas. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Mayor, I just want to also mention she also had served for a long-standing time with our Historic Preservation Commission. She and many of our senior octogenarian members were part of that long-time committee. I was privy to work with them in one of my first council appointments as an advisory board.
Just for the record, she's still on that committee, and we had a meeting, and she's all over that committee, all over the meeting. We have, I think, some things on her agenda about her. We've doing a lot of stuff. She's all there. She's like working hard on her markers right now, and then renaming a street coming up on Alicia Way as well. So she's very much active still.
And I remember a conversation I had with Councilman Pruitt when he was talking about Nico and when he took part in those efforts in the 60s. And, the public should know this is still an organization which is going strong, now known as the Northeast President's Block Association. So it's a long-standing community-based organization that's been working for civil rights for a very long time.
I just looked, Ms. Lacey would like to say a word, so without objection, I'm going to open it up to Ms. Lacey. I have two Ms. Lacey's. Okay. If you can unmute yourself, Ms. Lacey,
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Hi.
Thank you so much for those kind words and that proclamation that tells me that Teaneck has and will continue to embrace the diversity of our town and to work towards making it the model USA town that we are so proud of. Nothing stays the same. Nothing is constant. So it requires that we continue to be diligent about putting forth our best effort to make sure that all of us are included, all of our voices are heard, and that we work for the good of the town. I am humbled by your words and all that you have done to recognize the work that we have attempted to do. We will do all we can as we continue to put TNEC first. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Lacy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And one other thing I'd just like to mention that I would like to hope that we can move towards street naming. I know that Mr. Schwartz Councilman Schwartz is very interested in acknowledging street names. And I think that there is no person greater suited and deserving of a street to be named after her than Miss Lacy. And I would like to try to find a way that we could make it a permanent street, not just an honorary, if possible. Again, because
That has my second. Absolutely, it has my second.
That fits
Okay.
that.
Did you have a street in mind?
No, but we'll solicit that information and work on it.
Okay,
And
good.
also our senator made mention of that. So she certainly wanted to put 2 cents in. Our Senator Weinberg mentioned that as well.
Okay,
I was thinking maybe Elizabeth Avenue.
Or Stuyvesant Road.
yeah. Okay. Committee reports by council liaisons. Deputy Mayor Schwartz, you said you had something.
Yes, at the planning board meeting, the planning board last week approved, in the prior planning board meetings approved the final measures on 1425 Teaneck Road for the senior affordable housing that Ms. Davis and Age Friendly discussed. That is now going off to the state, and we hope that we win the funding rounds needed. There may be some additional support needed from the township as it relates to a proclamation or an email or push along the way, or to reach out to our legislators so we can hopefully win the round of funding. But I'll fill everyone in on that as that goes. As it relates to senior lane management had our first Zoom meeting and everything's proceeding. We're gonna have a lot of work on senior lane, and we're gearing up for some busy few years. This pandemic really kind of wiped out our retail district. So we know we have our work cut out over there. And those historical preservation, we are working on finalizing the additional historical markers for some other sites in town, as well as getting a date on the renaming of Alicia Avenue. But more will come as I get those exact dates and information. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, on the plaques, are those plaques in addition to the ones that I know they've already ordered and hopefully will be in soon?
Well, I don't know which ones you're talking about, so I don't know what you know, but like it's the ones that were the same ones, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, they are. They're the ones that we've been working on together.
Okay,
Thank you. Okay.
all right, great. Okay. I have a little report from PPRAB and then Karen. PPRAB is working on a prioritization list of all the needs in all the parks here in Teaneck. They hope to have a report back to us in December. This was in response to the township manager and my request to get such a list so we can use this for not only budgeting, but to know what things are needed to go first and based on what funds we have available. So hopefully by December, we will get that from PPRAB. Council Member Organ, you have some nominations?
Yeah, from the Personnel Subcommittee, I'd like to nominate to the Advisory Board on Community Relations, Christine Pammy, Allegra House, and Kasai Sanchez, and to most Michael Klatsky.
Okay. Can I get 4 nodding heads? That we're good with those? Okay, so we will move them, and at next meeting, we will appoint.
Councilwoman Organ, I apologize. Who was the third nominee to ABCR? I didn't catch it. I apologize.
Kasai Sanchez.
Thank you. I apologize.
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted
Yes.
to mention
Go ahead.
the Environmental Commission has met a couple times. At the penultimate meeting, they selected Phil Rhodes as the new chair, Joseph Gillers as vice chair, and Roz Turner as secretary. The last meeting, they discussed various appointments and questions for the manager, and I will present all that to the council.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on to council listed items. Council Member Kaplan and Deputy Mayor Schwartz, dog park.
Yes, there's been a large uptick in new dogs due somewhat to the pandemic and somewhat because dogs are wonderful. The council has wisely changed some of our policies regarding parks and where you can bring your dogs. I'm happy to report that I don't recall any complaints about the new rules, so they seem to be going well. All right, a couple here and there. By and large, there are a lot of happy people in town. And once we get rid of this PAL building, one of the suggestions was that we create a new location where we can have a dog park for people in town. I think this would be a good use of the area. It's in a somewhat unique location as far as parks go, and wanted to bring it to council's attention so we can see if anyone's in agreement.
In regards to dog parks, I know that that was on the list of things that PPRAB was looking at with respect to what they felt needs were in the park, because their list is not just going to include, upgrades or fixing current, but looking at what are other needs. And I know in their discussions, they talked about dog parks and dog parks actually in other areas of town. So if you want me to bring that to them and include that, or do you want to make this a separate item? What is your pleasure?
I think it would be an excellent idea to get that information. I wasn't sure how long they were going to take, because I know it is a large undertaking regarding all of our parks. And, I think eventually we might even have more than just one additional dog park through town. But in terms to meet the current needs and to give the manager a little extra lead time in terms of capital planning and what needs to be done once we take the building down, I thought if there's an eye towards what will eventually go there when we take down the building, it might be a little helpful.
And if I can jump on that, I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, a dog park on that open space, which is actually a town park, that can be funded with most, correct?
Yes, my understanding it can be. I'm all in favor of a large and a small dog park in that area. We are just securing the proposals we need for the demolition of the PAL building. There is one company that we can do one-stop shopping that does the environmental end and will also do the destruction. So I should have an answer for council very shortly when we can schedule the demolition.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Councilmember Rice?
I was just curious, is anyone concerned that we're right near a highway there, for loose dogs, or maybe there's going to be fencing involved? I don't know. I was just curious.
Oh, I think one of the things that's nice about dog parks is that the way that they work, they have multiple doors so that you go through one, you close the door, you open the next in order to go through. And the very nature of it is one that reduces the chance of dogs escaping. So I'm, as a dog owner and, person with young children, that's certainly something I would be looking at. It doesn't strike me as an issue, but if people that know more than me, and certainly in terms of process, I think the idea of bringing this to the PPRAB perhaps for a view on its own, even in conjunction to how they look at all of the parks, might be a good idea to get their input.
Oh, I'm actually going to echo that. I appreciate Ms. Councilwoman Royce's concern, because the concern I do have that's been happening at Phelps Park is people seem to let their dogs loose and the minute they get into the park. And the particular Greyhound owner and that German Shepherd owner, those dogs go very fast. I mean, you're talking 0 to 60, boom. And that's not going to, dogs owners will have to keep their dogs on their leash until they get to the park, which they should do anyways, but especially at this, the PAL dog park. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't want to, I think the issue is, okay, where dog park versus having more dog parks in the township. And I think the PPRAB discussion certainly is inclusive of the need for more dog parks in the township. So the question of where will be something that they can bring back to us if you want. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Council listed item 2, Deputy Mayor Schwartz, Sewer Billing Task Force.
Yes, we have an upcoming billing to go out as it relates to the sewer matter, the sewer ordinance in town, which is a rec. And I was looking to form a task force, and they say task force, that's a great word because it's temporary, to fix the ordinances we have. There's a lot of bills that I think are done wrong, issued wrong, and not followed properly. I am looking to form that and I'm looking to run it just because that's actually what I do professionally, but obviously needs to consent to work with our CFO and to correct the discrepancies on the bills and the ordinances.
Okay, so you want us to form a task force on this?
Yes, it's a short temporary task force, probably about 120 days to get the bills cleaned up based to the specifications that the CFO had mentioned is needed.
Okay. Anybody have an objection to creating the task force?
So join me also by all means.
Okay, all right, seeing none, do we have any people who would like to? Councilmember Pagan?
I'd like to join.
Okay.
Excellent.
Anyone else?
Do it.
Councilmember Oregon? Okay. So, Oregon. Okay. All right, great. All right, next, item 3, transfer to Google Apps for email and related applications. Councilman Kaplan.
Yes, the systems that we use have a little hiccup here and there with interoperability. The Board of Ed, I know, uses Google Apps. I've used them for businesses in various places. They offer a very seamless suite of options, from calendaring to email to workforce applications that many people are very familiar with. I wanted to see, in terms of cost as well, if it would be cheaper. Obviously, the manager's input here would be critical, but I think that our current email system and servers and various things could use a bit of a polish, especially as we're looking at the upgrades to our various other systems and as they go online.
Okay. Discussion?
I'll have our MAS department prepare a report just to analyze what we're doing now with Curio and see the benefits of switching to Google, and I'll report back to council.
That'd be great. Thanks.
That'd be great. Okay, thanks, Dean. Okay. Item 4, general election updates, dissemination of information. Councilman Romney Rice.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to first thank our town manager and our clerk, Doug, because there is so much great information on our website, but I just wanted to make sure that we could use this opportunity to share with our residents all the information that's available in terms of the general election. And I believe Doug has some information to share.
Clerk?
Good
Go
afternoon,
ahead, Doug.
everybody. Good afternoon, council, members of the public. This is your acting township clerk, Doug Roussillon. I hope everybody is safe and healthy. So naturally, the November 2020 general election is coming up in about a month, should we say. There's been a lot of different information flowing around, and I just want to remind everybody that the TNEC clerk's office is absolutely here for anybody. Anytime anyone has any questions. For the sake of time, I'm going to keep my little spiel here very instructional and informational, but please do not hesitate to send us an email, give us a call, come in if you're wearing a mask, and we will gladly be able to take any kind of concerns you have, help you with any kind of confusion that you may be harboring. The key here is making sure that we all have the right information and we're all working together to make sure that all of us, our neighbors, are all informed. The 2020 presidential November general election is currently being modified to require a vote by mail ballot to be sent to every active registered voter. The governor's executive order 177 aspires to secure voters' constitutional right to vote while preserving the health and well-being of the public. The deadline to register for the 2020 general election is October 13th, 2020. Bergen County residents may register to vote at the office of the Superintendent of Elections located at 1 Bergen County Plaza, room 380 in Hackensack. In order to meet the needs of the residents, that office will be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Tuesday, October 13th. The Township of Teaneck Clerk's Office, as always, will also be hosting our late night voter registration on October 13th from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the north entrance main lobby. That's the door that you walk into if you're coming to council chambers or pay a ticket at the court. All active registered voters will receive their vote by mail ballot by October 5th without the requirement to complete an application for a vote by mail ballot. We've been getting a lot of calls from residents inquiring when they may be receiving their ballot. October 5th is when people should start receiving them. If you do not receive it by October 6th, please give us a call and we'll intervene with you. Voters who are not ADA disabled and who must vote by mail will have 3 options to submit their mail-in ballot. They can mail their completed ballot to the Bergen County Board of Elections with the postage page envelope that will be provided to you. You can drop your completed vote by mail ballot in one of the many secured drop boxes throughout Bergen County, one of which will be installed here this week in front of the municipal building. It will be outside of the north entrance between the USPS mailboxes and the tax collection box. This drop box is monitored by video surveillance 24/7. And the drop box is supposed to be emptied out by Bergen County election officials every 24 hours, along with the help of a sheriff's officer. You also have the ability to return your completed vote by mail ballot to your assigned polling location on election day. Please keep in mind that if you decide to bring your vote by mail ballot to your assigned polling location, that you will have to wait online with the ADA and provisional voters also. It may end up being more efficient and faster for an individual voter to utilize the drop box that's going to be outside the municipal building. Again, this is a very safe drop box. It's under constant surveillance. There will be very few physical polling locations on November 3rd, 2020. Please check the township website for a list of these locations, or please reach out to our office and we'll provide you with that list. Voters who do not complete their vote by mail ballot and wish to go to the polling locations on election day will be handed a provisional ballot. That's a paper ballot. You will have to fill that out with a pencil and paper. The physical polls are only going to be utilized by the ADA disabled. So again, I'm going to repeat that if you wish to show up to the polls on election day, you will not be in the booth unless you're ADA disabled. You will be given a provisional ballot. A notice from Bergen County will be sent to all active voters, notifying them of their assigned polling location, among other important information, towards the end of October. I anticipate that this notice to be received by voters the week prior to the 2020 general election, as if it was a sample ballot. Speaking of sample ballots, it's important to note that no physical sample ballots will be mailed to voters for this election. The sample ballot for the 2020 general election will be available once created on a website to be determined by the Bergen County Clerk. Voters also now have the ability, I believe for the first time ever, to register, confirm their registration, and also track their vote by mail ballot online using the state elections website, njelections.org. You could go on the homepage there after logging on and follow the link that's right there on the homepage titled 2020 NJ Voter Information Portal. That's a pretty big deal and making it very accessible to residents and members of the public. Again, I don't want to take up too much of our time on the agenda. If anyone is concerned, anyone has any questions, we're here for you. That's why we're here. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll love to catch up with you and talk and figure out the best way that you can make sure that your vote's counted in this 2020 general election.
Thank you.
Doug.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The only thing I would add is that the state voter registration system, the SVRS, which is what the county uploads to, does have historical information. You can log on to that system as well to track if your ballots are received. Just bear in mind, it is a tiny bit of a lag between the county uploading the information and the state having it in their system.
I was actually happy that you brought that up, Councilman Kaplan. I was able to log on for my voter registration information, and I was able to see my vote by mail ballot for the primary election be submitted and be counted. So you are correct in saying that.
So I just want to again reiterate, I appreciate the information that's on the website. And I envisioned, Doug, as you were sharing that, we videotaped this. It would be wonderful to have this as a little YouTube spot on the website, or sometime to somehow to transmit this, because I think it doesn't hurt to reiterate the information, because as you well know, during the primary, we did have residents that were seeking physical voting locations even on that day. So there was a lot of confusion. So I think that the more we get the information out for our residents and reiterate it constantly, the more that will take away the mystery as we go through this election, very important process.
Absolutely.
One other thing that I believe wasn't mentioned, there is the issue of rejected ballots, which came up during the municipal and the primary. The rules have been relaxed somewhat, and anyone that does have a rejected ballot, the majority of reasons are that signatures don't match. You will be sent a letter in the mail and time to cure that defect. Just obviously, this takes time. The earlier you get your ballot in, the earlier you'll be able to correct any defects. So when you get this in the mail, please don't delay. Send it in as soon as possible, and then hopefully everything will be received. If not, you'll be able to correct it.
And also, I actually had 2 residents in my office yesterday who were speaking on behalf of the senior population, or a portion of the senior population here in Teaneck. And naturally, there is always that technological and informational gap between some people, as we were talking about earlier, that may not have access to a computer and may not be seeing our conversation going on right now, may not be seeing the things that we're putting up on the website and social media. I know that Age Friendly was just here before, and I'm putting an appeal also out there to the public. Please help each other, refer people to the proper resources. Facebook may not be the best place to get our information. That's why we are here for you. Make sure you give people our contact information. If anyone is confused, again, we will clear things up for you. Please don't hesitate.
Great. Thank you again, Doug. I really appreciate that. And just another quick little plug. I'm sure the manager is going to mention about the census, but we were able to get some additional resources from Bergen Volunteer Center. So again, hard copy lawn signs that'll be able to be disseminated. So thank you, Doug, and Mr. Manager, for being the recipients of those so that we can share those with our residents.
How are we distributing them? How are we distributing them?
I was going to bring it up on my manager's report.
Okay, all right, wait till then. That's fine. Okay. All right, number 5, status of Black Lives Matter mural, Councilmember Rice.
That we did discuss it at our last council meeting, and just wanted to make sure that it was brought up again at this meeting. I know that, our Councilman Kaplan alluded to some concerns and legislation that we're waiting for, but I just wanted to make sure that the community was brought up to date and up to speed in terms of where we were in terms of the status of it.
Sure. Things have changed. But I want to go over exactly where we came from to where we are now. We've had, by my count, 5 meetings. At that meeting, those meetings have been the manager. I think he met first alone with them, then manager and myself. I brought in legal counsel to explain the legal issues that we have relative to the mural. At the last meeting, last Thursday, Deputy Mayor Katz accompanied me. He wanted to come and meet and talk with them. Throughout this process, we had asked initially, one of the initial questions we had was whether or not they had gone to or want to do this with the Board of Education, because this is being prompted by the students. And their answer to us was no. We also offered the possibility of putting it on township property, because the issues are many, as you have heard, from a legal standpoint and what's going on, especially in DC, with putting these things on the street and having us protect the town from other people putting things on the street that we don't want, similar to what we had to do with the pride flag. They said no to that. We also said that one of the things that we were concerned about was an emphasis on names being placed on this, because we wanted something that we felt was would bring together the township, would show that the township as a whole supported and were behind our Black community here in Teaneck. And we were, again, adamantly told no. As late as last Thursday, when I thought we were going to walk into a meeting where they had decided that they would move forward without any names on it. We were told, and adamantly so, no, we want Philip Pennell's name on this mural. So come yesterday now, we have some interesting developments. I found out that the mural group has decided to present to the Board of Education. I was told it's a workshop. I don't know when their workshop is. I didn't check. And I'm assuming that they're going to be presenting the same initial murals that they presented to us, which obviously have names on them, but I don't know what they're presenting. Last night, I get an email from a member, from the mural committee saying to me, well, we've changed our minds and now we want to proceed with you with the mural without any names on it. So how does that jive? And one of the things that really is just personally distressing, because of the amount of time that I've spent on this and given to them, is the fact that I didn't even get a call being told that anything was being done with the Board of Education. And why would they be doing that at the same time as they send us an email saying that they would now do this without the names on it? I'm confused. I'm a little annoyed because we should have gotten a heads up as to what they wanted to do. So at this point, I'm of a mind that we just put this on hold because I think something else is going on here. These kids have done a tremendous job in putting together the artwork, proposing it, presenting it. They have a passion. But something else is going on that, in terms of, I think, a manipulation that is starting to turn this into more of a political event than a social justice event. And I don't want this council to be a part of that. I said on July 1st, I wanted this council to be a catalyst for the township to come together. And I think something's going on here that's very political. I don't know if it has anything to do with the Board of Ed election. I don't know. But clearly, something is being steered in different directions here. So at this point in time, I'm not, until I can clear this up and where we're at with this, I'm not inclined to move forward or try to make any proposal to the council relative to the mural, because I'm not sure what I'm dealing with. And I'm not sure who's really driving the mural group. I don't know. So I can't come back to you and say, let's move it. Now, I have talked to all of you several times. I've asked your opinions. I know there were concerns about the legal. I have the same concerns, but we were hoping that we may be able to get to a point to find a way in which to do something. But now, without any notice, they go to the Board of Ed. And as they say, if they're presenting the same murals that they initially presented to us, they do have names on them. While at the same time telling us, oh no, it's okay, we'll work with you now without the names. Something's going on. It hits me as being very political, and we do have an election in the Board of Ed. So at this point, I'm going to put a little moratorium on discussing this mural. And the first discussion that will be had when we do discuss it, I will have it just with the students, because I think those are the people that have the passion. They're the ones who push this, and I want to get them thoroughly involved. And I was also thinking, Councilmember Kaplan, of your great idea that I maybe wanting to get them involved with you as you talk about your your history and the history mural and things like that. I thought that they would want to get involved in that. But so at this point in time, I'm not inclined to do anything because, as I say, something's going on, something's political, and I'm not playing that game. Now, what I will say though is, as I've always said, that I've wanted to do something on behalf of the council to show our support for the Black community and show greater support for the change that we all believe needs to happen in this country. And I've had some discussions with Councilmember Pagan, and I'm going to ask Mike if he could talk briefly about what his idea was.
Thank you, Mayor. The idea which I mentioned last week during Good and Welfare was, while we all agree and recognize that Black Lives Matter, when it comes to having a street mural, it's a little more complicated than people think because of cost and vandalism and lawsuits that we have seen in other communities. So one thing we can do to take another step in the right direction is possibly rename a prominent street like Elizabeth Avenue Black Lives Matter Way, because if we rename a street, it will require minimal cost. It can happen pretty quickly, and it would be a marker that lasts decades into the future. And also, Elizabeth, speaking of the youth, Elizabeth Avenue is home to my alma mater and the alma mater for a lot of people, especially the people, the kids that are very involved with this street mural and trying to make it happen. And it would serve as a fitting tribute to them, our young leaders who led our town's powerful and peaceful protests and continue to effectuate change. So I think we should rename the street if council is okay with that, just to keep the ball moving forward. And then we can continue to figure out what else we can also do to recognize that Black Lives Matter.
So, yes, Councilmember Rice.
I just have a question. As I wasn't privy to any of the meetings, nor any of these other discussions or suggestions about street namings, I just find it very unfortunate that after 5 meetings that the conversation kind of deteriorated, and there's this level of distrust or assuming that it's political and Board of Ed. I think that that's very unfortunate. But I would like to think that whoever was involved in the meetings could continue to have the dialogue, because I think that, us just deciding, especially where the kids are concerned, that would be like me saying, what I would determine to be a Holocaust, appropriate when that really is nothing germane to me. I don't think that we should be seeking to push an agenda or push a street when that's not what was initially requested. I think that we should continue to keep the lines of communication open and try to work within the confines of what we can do and what was being requested. So again, very disappointed that the lines of communication have been deteriorated and that we've kind of met this impasse. So it's, it's kind of very unfortunate, I would just like to say.
Well, Councilmember Rice, I want to clarify here. We didn't turn down a single meeting that they wanted. In fact, we reached out and set up some of those meetings. I think including, it may have been Thursday. I don't remember if Thursday's meeting was by us or by them. So there is open communication. I will continue to communicate with anybody who I feel is going to be an honest broker with me and tell me what's going on. But clearly, after all that time, to turn around and go to the BOE and not tell us what they are doing, and at the same time, then agree to what we now were asking when just 4 days ago they were adamantly opposed, it's just a little too coincidental for me. So I have a responsibility as representative of this council to bring to them truthful information. And I have to find out what it is that's going on. So I'm open to communication, believe me. And I'm not turning it off.
I would hope that would be what would take place.
But we have to realize here that unfortunately, I think there has been a little usurping of this, what I thought was a very, very good thing to do. As you know, I have told many of you that I was trying to find a way to do this because I thought it was good for the town. And now this is how we are treated. So I'm open for discussion. I'm open to have a conversation, but I'm not at this time willing to move forward with any type of resolution to the council on this, mainly because there are 2 or 3 other issues that have to be met even when we would decide on what the mural was. For example, where, how long, upkeep, so on and so forth. So those things we never got to that because we kept sticking on the name issue. So as I said, I will talk to the students. I'm happy to talk to the students. They're their idea. They have my cell phone number. But at this time, I would like our council to do something that represents our voice with regards to Black Lives Matter. And I think right now, Councilmember Pagan's idea is a good one. And so I would like to hear if anybody else has any discussion on this. And then if possible, we could vote on something. Anybody have any comments or discussion? Councilmember Organ.
I would just say maybe we reach out to the superintendent before we choose the school and make sure that it's okay either with the principal of the high school or with him.
Councilmember Organ, that's their discussion.
Not about the mural, about the actual street, the street that we're choosing that's near their school, that they're comfortable with it. That's all. I'm
Okay,
fine.
I
I'm
understand.
naming
I'm
the
sorry.
street.
Okay,
It's their
Okay.
street. Yeah.
okay.
Would you like me to reach out and communicate with the superintendent? He has a great relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, Keith, would you do that? Yeah, I have to, but
Absolutely.
if you would do that, I would
I'd
appreciate
be happy
it.
to next time I chat with him. Yep.
Thank you. Other comments about the proposal?
I just don't think it would be received in the spirit that it's attempted to be given. I don't think that it's just like trying to pacify, well, we're not going to do this and we are making the decision to do that. I don't think it's going to be in the spirit of collaboration or received in the spirit of goodwill. And while I am desperately interested in trying to find something that would bring us together, I don't see us making this declaration with being set apart from the community is going to be received in the spirit in which it's intended.
Councilmember Rice, we didn't do that. It was done without our knowledge after having extensive conversations. They didn't tell us what they were doing, and that's what they did.
I understand, but even more the reason, in my opinion, to have that conversation, to just say, it's your fault, we're not going to do it, we're going to give you a street naming instead. To me, that I just don't.
No. That's not what I said. And you're missing the points and you're trying to make a political point. Listen, I said that I would talk to them, okay, when I feel I know what they're doing and what's going on and what their wants are. Because on the same day that they do that with the Board of Ed, they tell us now that everything's okay, we'll go forward with ours. Okay, so there's no breakdown in communication. I said how we will communicate. And I'll continue to communicate because as I've said to you, as others, that I want to do something. Okay, and I would like to do, if we could, a mural, if we can do it legally. Okay, and not make a problem for the township. All right, but we can't ignore the legal aspects. We can't ignore the lawsuits. We can't ignore the ones that had to be taken off the streets because they didn't do it the right way. It can't ignore any of that. In fact, we had an issue in Millburn just a couple of weeks ago.
Mr. Mayor,
Same thing.
I don't think anyone here is not cognizant and aware of those details.
Good.
My point is simply, this predominantly white council is now going to say, we choose to name a street as if that's going to be a pacifying point. And my point is simply, I'm not in agreement with that and I wouldn't support it.
I understand that.
I
but
wouldn't
this is
support
not-
it in the
this is
spirit
not-
in which it's being
This is not a
dictated.
pacifying point, okay? You also heard us talk about getting positive history murals in town. You talk about street naming, and I haven't closed the door on the mural. That's the message you should be sending out. Okay?
It's not just my message, it's all of our messages. And that's the unfortunate piece,
And-
because this message is not being conveyed outside of this Zoom meeting.
Well,
in
why,
terms of-
why isn't it, Councilmember Rice?
I mean, I do not feel that there is a connection to our community in terms of us moving forward with this. Who here on this screen can say that a community member has approached them about a street naming for Black Lives Matter? Perhaps Mr. Pagan, since he's the one that brought it up. Have there been 3,000 members that wrote a petition that requested that?
Councilwoman Rice, I don't think you're understanding. I did not say, why are you smiling? You think you made a point? Listen. We're going to continue to talk. We also want to do something from this council, just like we did with the pride flag. Okay? We can do other things. And I would ask you to propose other things too. But right now, there's something going on here with this mural group that I have to find out about first before we move forward with it. Mark my
And that
words.
was my point about those lines of communication.
And that's fine.
So,
So we have a discussion here about a street naming. Any further discussion about it? Okay. You want to put it to a vote? I'll say yes.
Put it
then.
to a vote, yes.
Doug, can you call a roll, please? And the motion is to do, and now we'll do a street naming pending discussion with the superintendent, I think, right?
Okay.
So that's.
Of Elizabeth Avenue.
Right.
All right, so was there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Sorry, I got my list here. Councilwoman Rami Rice,
yes, I will support it.
Councilman Bagan,
Yes, absolutely.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy,
Yes.
recorded.
All right, item number 6, conference call with Bergen County mayors regarding PSE&G. Let me just pull my notes up here. It actually happened yesterday. There was a thing between the county and Congressman Gottheimer. They had 2 different things going on, but they had it yesterday. And I'll just share with you the points that I made. One was I wanted to verify that the workers that came into the state, which they came from many other states, including states that have been marked by the governor as an issue with COVID, whether or not they were tested. And the answer I got from PSE&G was that they were relying on the other utility company to make sure that everybody was COVID tested. So I don't know. We don't know. I told them that we had serious difficulties with the coordination of the out-of-state power companies. Some could, some couldn't do things. We had trucks rolling on certain areas, and then they were told by PSE&G, no, you can't. You got to wait for a PSE&G truck. It appears to not be a licensure issue, but it does appear that they don't pay any attention to it when they send people to different sites, and then they have to pull the trucks back. We also needed, and Dean and I talked about this, that we felt strongly, given the size of the town and what happened, that we needed someone on the ground here from PSE&G, that Dean had the opportunity to give information to real time and send so that they could get that information as to where the hotspots were. It was very difficult to make those types of communications through our rep. Our rep was keeping a long list. In some cases, they had what was called a priority list. So we don't know about what that priority list was or how you got on it. But basically, I told them that that was totally unacceptable and they need to handle that a lot better. The outage map, as we all know, was not accurate. It was overwhelmed. They're going to try and increase its capacity in order to so that it doesn't happen again. They're going to look at the time that they give people for their power to come back, because they know that that was a great source of frustration. I asked them to try to find some way that they can tell the town when they're taking down power in order to repair and bring up more people, because we got a lot of calls from people, oh my God, it's still happening. My power just went out for an hour or two, and then it's up and then it's down. We want them to be able to tell the township what's going on with that. Coordination with the tree services was also awful. The utility company truck would roll on a site. They needed the tree service. It wasn't there. So all of these issues were brought up with them. I don't know what the follow-up was. I had to get off a little bit early. I'll follow up with Congressman Gottheimer's office to see if there were any moving outcomes from all of this. But I just wanted the public to know that we are not happy. We know you're not happy. And I expressed that in no uncertain terms to PSE&G. And I hope that some change is going to occur. I'll take questions if everybody has any questions, but that was basically what I told them. Okay, all right. Daytime council meetings. Deputy Mayor Katz is not here. I know Mark, mentioned this to me. I don't know if he mentioned it to you with respect to wanting to have a discussion as to whether or not we want to continue daytime meetings for our schedule in 2021.
I think it has to do with Zoom. Obviously when, in person, late at night, driving late at night, there were some issues. Once you're on Zoom, it kind of is no longer that original issue anymore. I think that's what the matter is. So I guess, right now why don't we have our dates planned? I believe it's on the agenda tonight, Mr. Clerk, and time to be determined. We can discuss that as we see where our pandemic
Good to
goes.
see you, Jordan. Love you. Take care.
Can I speak to it for a
Sure,
second?
please, Councilman.
I was one of the proponents of the daytime meeting, and as I said when we started, my hope was, man plans, God laughs, that when schools started up again, we'd be able to hold one of our daytime meetings at Teaneck High School and have the students come participate, because they do use their services, they do participate in town and should have a say. Obviously that, didn't work out as well as planned. The seniors and other people were able to benefit from the daytime meetings, coming to the council meetings, and younger people with kids who have various bedtime issues weren't able to come out physically to council meetings. But I think that Deputy Mayor Schwartz is correct that a lot of those issues are ameliorated with the Zoom meeting, where especially if we can give them a specific time frame, whether it's in the front of the meeting, to voice any concerns that they might have, or towards the back end of the meeting when we have a regular good and welfare, we might be able to give people that benefit while still holding it at our regular time slot. So I'm not necessarily as I was before, now that the situation has changed.
Councilmember Rice.
So for me, being that I have to take a day off to attend the meetings, it's certainly evening are more conducive. But I think if we going forward, if we could still make it available via Zoom to our seniors and students, maybe that would perhaps allow them to participate.
Yeah, I was thinking company made good suggestions in terms of maybe say we keep it at 7, but we identify 3 or 4 of them that they would be via Zoom. I know I've read some articles about the fact that there are a number of municipal governments that are now opting to just stay on Zoom. One of the reasons being is that more people can participate and more people can see it. And that may be a discussion we may want to have in the future. But I know sometimes it can be difficult for me. I'm down here in Elizabeth. And this was a particularly stressful day for me here in terms of having a large renovation going on that I'm responsible for. But we can, so what is your pleasure? What do you want to do? Mark, I think you made a suggestion.
Yeah, let's,
So let's just schedule them,
yes, let's schedule the days, time, and if we want to see how we're going, we can always move up the time, the meeting before. The days are what's important.
Okay,
The day, I mean, the dates. Let's schedule the
dates.
dates as proposed,
right,
and we can discuss in 3-6 months. No one has any idea where we're going with this right now.
okay,
And
All
again, I am in favor of, I'm not in favor of anything. Let's discuss where we are in 6 months. But for right now, let's just schedule the dates and take it from there.
okay,
Everything in the evening for now, because it doesn't look like we're going anywhere. And then we can move up as needed, because the concept of during a day meeting is important if the time, if the in-person allows for it.
okay.
I just want to point out quick, Deputy Mayor and Mayor and Council, that resolution is not on the consent agenda this evening. I was still waiting to hear back on a couple dates, but I will get it on. for October 12th.
okay.
Sorry, I thought if you got my changes, I apologize. I thought they were
No,
sending
it's
me the
it's
last
all good.
version.
We'll catch up with
If
that.
you added my changes, we're good to go. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Don't worry about it. We will,
Okay.
we'll have it on the October agenda, and I'll make
Mhm.
sure that daytime meeting times are not listed there. And I'll just take this time to remind council that if we choose to amend a time, we do need to do it via resolution prior to that meeting. So, we'll obviously
Okay.
talk about that as time comes up. That's all.
And Doug, what is the time frame for that? Is it 5 days? Is it 7 days?
I honestly, I want to say it's like 48-hour notice at the very least, but being that I doubt council will want to call a special meeting specifically for the purpose of changing a time of another meeting, it would probably be done a month or 3 weeks, 2 weeks ahead of that coming meeting. So it's something that will need to be decided ahead of time.
Okay.
Well ahead of time amongst council.
Alrighty. Okay, next item, PSE&G TNEC 67 kV Green Acres Project, Councilwoman Rice. You're muted, Javon.
Sorry.
That's okay.
The information is clearly on our website. There are big posters about town and Votey Park in terms of what's happening with this public hearing, but I just wanted to make sure that we announced it here as well in terms of what is happening with the PSE&G.
Sure. I mean, I can handle that. Again, on October 13th, as the signs indicate, there's going to be a virtual public hearing. It'll be broadcasted via Zoom and telephone as well. It's going to be held at 6 p.m. And again, that's regarding the proposed Green Acres major diversion of portions of 2 parcels within Milton Votey Park and 2 parcels within Windsor Park, which are owned by the township. The diversion, again, involves the installation and maintenance by Public Service Electric and Gas of an upgraded overhead utility line. This may not be the right time to say it, but to connect the New Milford 69 kV network to the TNEC substation. Again, this is an upgraded utility line that they say will provide resiliency to the existing electrical grid and provide reliable electrical service to the citizens of TNEC. And this hearing on the 13th will involve proposals to compensate the township for the diversion, the planting of trees in Windsor and Votey Parks, as well as a monetary contribution for the removal of about 8 trees in Windsor Park. So again, this will be open to the public. It's on October 13th via Zoom. And you can also, if you can't connect via Zoom, you can also connect via telephone. And we had the first scoping hearing, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this was in early 2019 that we had to do. So this original scoping hearing was in, I believe, January of 2019.
That's correct, Mr. Manager.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Township Managers Report.
All right, thank you. In regards to the census, the 2020 update, TNEC self-response is about 78%, which is 10% over the current state percentage and 10% over the self-response rate of some of our neighboring municipalities. I think we're doing okay. Can we do better? Of course. We're going to continue to push out information from now until September 30th. That includes robocalls in both English and in Spanish. We sent one out last week. My assistant, Luis De Paz, did it and recorded it in Spanish as well. So we're going to continue to push the information out. Today, we accepted a supply of census lawn signs, and I don't know if it's going to show up. If now you can't see it, it's not
Now you
showing up
can't
on my
see it.
screen. I have the green screen in the back, but they're lawn signs. They're going to be made available at the front entrance of the municipal building to the public in case anyone wants to pick them up. We are also going to distribute them to places such as Fairleigh Dickinson University, other facilities in town, and all of our municipal buildings. And again, just to encourage people to complete that census. I'd be very happy if we can get the percentage up to about 85%. If that's the case, we will well have exceeded what we did in 2010. So we're doing okay. We can do better. I believe Councilwoman Rice brought up training for the council. Mr. Shadani and I have been in conversation about this, and we have scheduled this for the week of October 5th. We're going to be reaching out to members of council. We'll do it via Zoom. He's going to cover several topics to include a review of our policy manual, prevention of harassment in the workplace, protected characteristics, and some other topics. So I will be in touch with every council member and see if we can set up a date and time that's convenient for your work schedules. This is my monthly or council meeting reminder to stay informed on what's happening in and around town. Please visit the township's website and click on the sign up for township alerts tab. And that is located on the left-hand side of our homepage. I also spoke to County Engineer Joe Femia regarding the Cedar Lane Bridge over the railroad tracks. We slightly adjusted the traffic pattern that should now allow vehicles to pass those making that left-hand turn onto Windsor Road North. We may have to adjust it a little bit more. The county had no issues with us doing it. Again, this should help to prevent some congestion in the area. I know it's not the best solution, but hopefully it will prevent traffic from backing up to American Legion Drive. I do not have a start date on the work. Joe was not able to give me a start date. It involves several different agencies to include, of course, the Township, Bergen County Engineering, New Jersey Department of Transportation, and CSX. Just to update everyone on the East Anderson Street Bridge by the Hackensack border, Teaneck border. You know, phase one was completed in 2019, and phase one pertains to the preferred design of the bridge. I participated in several meetings at the county as well as in council chambers about this. There were members of the public present as well. So phase one is done. We're waiting for further information from Bergen County Engineering on phase two. In writing, they're going to be writing an RFP that assigns an engineer to this project. There are 4 phases in total, the 2 which I just mentioned. The phase 3 is the final engineering phase, and phase 4 is the construction phase. And again, unfortunately, we're several years or more away from construction actually beginning on this project. So we're going to have to tolerate it for a few more years. I'm currently working with PSE&G on a program that's going to help us reduce our energy bills to more energy efficient equipment. PSE&G would pay for about 100% of the cost up front and 70% of the total project cost. And the township would be responsible to repay 30% of the total over a 3-year time period. It's interest free, and we can pay it on our monthly bill. So I'm looking forward to this. Again, it covers interior, exterior lighting, HVAC, refrigeration upgrades, and that should benefit the township and save us a few dollars. The tent for recreation was just installed yesterday. That's in place. Today, I believe they held yoga, strength training classes for our seniors, and there's going to be children and adult activities starting this afternoon as well. So we rented a large tent, and we will continue to hold these classes outside, weather permitting, and give some relief to some of our seniors. We're going to be, I was notified by the county, we're going to be a host town for mobile COVID-19 testing. They're going to be bringing the unit back to Teaneck in October. It's going to be open to Teaneck residents as well as some of our neighboring municipalities. So what they're going to do is they're going to have several host towns. Teaneck is going to be one of them. It's open to the area municipalities, and these other host towns will make it available to Teaneck as well. So there will be plenty of opportunity in October for our residents to get tested. Right now, as of today, we have 1,193 positive cases, and we remain at 107 deaths. Just on some projects going on in town, down.
Would you repeat that? I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, that number 1,193?
That's correct.
Thank you, sir.
1193 and 107.
107. Got it. Thank you.
Downs Tree is going to be installing 200 yards of blown-in wood fiber safety mulch in various playground areas throughout the township park on October 1st and October 2nd. And this is very important for the public as the cooler weather again is upon us. I spoke to Lieutenant Roloff from the fire department regarding gas, propane, and other electric heaters and devices that might be used for these commercial tents that are currently in place. Gas, propane, and/or electric heaters must be listed by a nationally recognized testing agency for use in any commercial tent. Homeowner type devices are not allowed to be used within a commercial tent as they are not rated for commercial use. As the weather starts to get colder, and it has sides, the sides of these tents may be added to the existing tents. This could cause CO to build up. The fire department recommends using a battery type CO detector within the tent if sides and heaters are used. Regarding electrical cords and outlets, extension cords used for temporary wiring should be the correct size for the appliance it is powering. The cord should be plugged into a GFCI outlet, and the cord should not be subject to foot or vehicle traffic, which can obviously damage the cord, and any damaged cord should be discarded. Homeowner type canopies that we see on a daily basis, like the Easy Up, and tents not larger than 30 feet in any direction or less than 900 square feet are not regulated by the International Fire Code, New Jersey edition, and do not require a permit. However, this type of tent or canopy is usually not flame retardant and should not be used with any type of heat or flame, including candles. Setup and anchoring of this type of tent is left up to the individual putting it up, not a professional company. And anyone that has any questions with regards to this, Lieutenant Martin Roloff has been with the town for many years, is well versed on this. I encourage anyone to reach out to him at the fire department at 201-808-8080 extension 5202. We want everyone to remain safe and follow the rules in place. The township also received a grant from our risk provider, D&H Risk Solutions, to purchase 30 firefighting protective hoods. And this is going to be very helpful to our fire department personnel on a daily basis as they can switch out contaminated hoods for the rest of the workday if they have an active run. So we're appreciative of D&H's donation to the town, and I will be preparing a resolution for the next meeting to make it official. We're going to, with the Rhoda Center upgrades, we're going to be accepting delivery of skylights on September 24th. Installation should begin on or about the 26th. All brick repairs should be completed by October 2nd. We are waiting window delivery, but should have them within the next 2 weeks, which is good. The entrance wall blocks are being fabricated on September 25th. Demolition and installation of the new walls, including the cast stone copings, will be done on Saturday, October 3rd. A new entrance door and frame is on order, and repairs to 3 of the existing doors will begin on or about September 28th. So a lot going on at the Rhoda Center, a lot of repairs being made, including the roof. I'll be excited when this is done. It's going to provide a safe haven for our employees and anyone using that facility. What else didn't I cover here? Okay, today we accepted a large supply of PPE from County OEM. We have boxes upon boxes of supplies, which is very good. I think we're in good shape. I'm very comfortable with our resources in the event we do see a spike in the fall. With COVID, I would say we probably have anywhere from a 3 to 6 month supply on hand. And thank you to the county and county OEM for that at no cost to the township. The CDC unfortunately has issued its first guidance for Halloween today, and they are not recommending, of course, door-to-door trick-or-treating. I'll be coming out with some more information as each day goes by. And as I said earlier, with social services, we need this position full-time. And again, I will put it into the 2021 budget, despite us having a pending matter that remains unresolved. But I can tell you it's the resources are needed, not only for our seniors, but it's a tremendous resource for the police department, our health department. And I can't wait any longer and hold out any longer not to fill this position. Right now, I believe it's, 12 to 15 hours a week, and that's just not enough for the size of this municipality. So it's time for me to move forward with this, and I'll be asking council in 2020 to go back to filling it to full time. End of report.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you for everything that you do for the township. Township Attorney's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Other than what we discussed in, in closed session, there's nothing further to report.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to formal meeting items, public hearing and adoption of ordinances. Doug, could you read those, please?
Yes, 1 second, please. Tonight, or this afternoon rather, September 22nd, we are hearing for second reading ordinance 21-2020, authorizing an amendment to the lease agreement between the Township of Teaneck and the Teaneck Senior Citizens Housing Association, Inc., with respect to premises located along East Cedar Lane, Block 4201, Lot 19, for affordable housing for senior citizens. Ordinance number 22-2020, amending sections 36-12 at all times of Division 3 prohibited parking and section 36-21 time limited parking to Division 3 limited parking of Article 2 parking of Chapter 36 traffic of the Township Code to add 15-minute time limit parking along a portion of West Englewood Avenue. Ordinance number 23-2020, an ordinance establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck included within the Teaneck Public Workers Association, Inc., and United Public Service Employees Union, the Department of Public Works non-supervisory contract for the years 2020 and 2021. Ordinance number 24-2020, amending section 36-11.2 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code to add a sunset clause to the establishment of restricted on-street parking spaces for the handicap. Ordinance number 25-2020, an ordinance establishing a trust fund for off-track parking improvements and fixing a fee for appropriating the pro rata share for the cost thereof for certain new construction requiring site plan approval. Ordinance number 26-2020, an ordinance establishing an emergency services trust fund and fixing a fee for apportioning the pro rata share for the cost thereof for certain new construction requiring site plan approval. That is all that we are hearing for the second reading, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll now open this up for a public hearing on the ordinances as written. Remember, this is just for the ordinances that we're doing here this evening on adoption. This is not good and welfare. Okay. Doug, are you going to do it or you want me to do it?
I'll handle it, Mayor, if that's all right.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I saw Mr. Allen Sohn with his hand up. Mr. Allen Sohn. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Yes.
3 minutes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll be talking about ordinances 25 and 26, 2020. For years, advocates of responsible development have pointed out that projects proposed in Teaneck would have a negative impact on public services and infrastructure. Surely a 250-unit apartment complex built of kindling wood next to CSX and its oil trains will have an impact on our fire department. Surely the addition of hundreds of apartment units will impact areas already suffering from shortages of street parking. For years, our deputy mayors have pushed for projects that conflict with our master plan and told us that there is zero impact on infrastructure from development. We were told that there is zero impact on police, zero impact on fire, zero impact on parking, and that anyone who raises these legitimate concerns is one of those people against progress. Now they've changed their tune. Ordinance 25 acknowledges that, quote, new commercial construction within the township adds to existing vehicle traffic and increases the demand for parking throughout the township. Ordinance 26 states clearly that, quote, new commercial construction within the township of Teaneck adds to the cost of providing emergency services, including police, fire, ambulance, end quote. A one-story building 100 feet deep by 1,000 feet wide, or 200 feet wide and 5 stories high, will cover 100,000 square feet, or almost 2.5 acres of floor space. Ordinance 25 asks that the property owner pay $7,000, or enough to cover the cost of a fraction of a garaged parking spot. Ordinance 26 leaves the amount for an emergency services fund entirely subject to negotiation. I can imagine the conversation. You can pay $0, or we can ask for $7,000 or $70,000 or $700,000. There's no limit set by ordinance, and if you don't agree to our terms as a condition for approval of a subdivision or site plan, your project simply won't go ahead. You wouldn't want anything bad to happen to your investment, would you? These ordinances finally acknowledge that development has a real cost to taxpayers, but they don't create a structure of genuine trust funds that would have covered the fair share of the added burden on taxpayers by assessing fair and equitable fees that would have developers pay for the impact their projects have on emergency services and parking. These ordinances don't cover the very real costs imposed by these developments on fire, police, or parking. The trust funds have no protections to ensure
30 seconds, Mr. Sony.
Just look at how open space has been paid out of our open space trust fund. And by eliminating a fixed fee or creating a sliding structure based on actual impact, it creates a negotiated system that magnifies the risk for self-dealing and unequal treatment. Table these two ordinances and fix them to create a fair system that might address the acknowledged burdens of new development without the potential for misuse of funds or political interference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sohn. Thank you, Mr. Sohn. I see Chuck here. Dr. Powers.
Go ahead, Dr. Powers. You're on mute. There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. I'm going to use this public hearing simply to ask a question about Ordinance 21. Apparently, the town has had a lease with this public housing authority for seniors for 42 years. This lease amendment calls for an additional $6,250 a month to be paid beginning in 2020 for the next 30 years. It does not slide. It stays the same for the entire time frame, which is interesting given what may happen to inflation in the space of 30 years. But nowhere is it clarified how much it is that the town has actually been receiving from this same facility over the last 42 years. I'm simply asking for clarification. How much is the $6,250 added, and is it actually the case that we've had a lease with this association for 42 years and actually received nothing, or have we actually received money in the past? Thank you.
I don't see anybody else, Doug. Is anybody else in?
Sorry, I don't see anybody, Mayor. Sorry.
Okay. So
Okay,
we'll close the hearing.
Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz, you have a comment.
Yes, okay. I usually try to ignore former council member Sohn, who personally I think should be stripped of that title. That being said, in tonight's we have some very good ordinances, and unfortunately, resident Sohn decides to say, let me be against something and I'll just pick an ordinance. This ordinance could have been about what color the sky is today, and he'd have a problem with this. Former council member Sohn made it clear that we were not negotiating with the developers on getting what we should get from Avalon for this town when they came before our development, before our boards. In part, one of the sole reasons for our emergency fund is that the vehicle needed that when we have a developer come, we say we want money for a fire truck. Right now, the town did not have that vehicle that he specifically lobbied for. But he is so consumed with hate for the council and practically, I think for the town, that he decides as usual to lobby against something. What these ordinances are as follows. Ordinance 25 says, while there may be more cars that come to our shopping districts, while we need to repave and restripe the municipal lot behind God Express to yield 23 spots, why don't we ask some of our developers who are putting up multi-million dollar projects for a contribution to those funds? And same for our fire trucks. We are giving TVAC an extra $35,000 this year. Who's we? We is the town. We is everyone on this call. We are the people on this Zoom. But yet we have developers.
Mark, we lost you. Mark, we can't hear you.
Maybe it's a good thing.
Mark, we can't hear you. Can't hear you. Okay. Does anybody have any other comments on the ordinances? Mark, unmute yourself. Nobody else? Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
I just have a question with regard to ordinance 26. How is the trust fund disseminated, or the decisions made on how the emergency trust fund is utilized? Is that manager's discretion, council's discretion?
I'm going to defer to Dean or to.
My understanding was that it would be similar to how we use the Hyatt Fund, but I'll ask the attorney or manager to talk about that.
Yeah, Dean, I mean, you want me to address it, Dean?
Yep, okay.
Yeah, so ordinance 26, Councilwoman Rice, would be dealt with similarly to the Hyatt Fund. It is a trust fund for the town that's it's set forth what it's for in the ordinance with respect to providing emergency services, police, fire, ambulance. So there are some limitations as to where the money can be spent. But at the end of the day, the decision as to where to spend it would be part of the budgeting process and what's going to be needed in those areas. That's
the reason why I asked is when it was referenced last time to the Hyatt Fund, I thought that was part of a committee, that was related to the social service committee. Community members had input on how that money was utilized. So again, this would be determined upon budgetary needs. So left at the manager's discretion?
Well, with the advice and consent of the council, obviously.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? So are you ready to vote? Okay. Doug, call the roll.
Need someone to move the ordinances.
Motion to move or adopt ordinances as is.
You have a second?
Was that Councilwoman Rice?
Yes.
Roll call. Councilwoman Rami Rice. Councilwoman Rami Rice.
You're on mute.
Sorry, that was a yes.
Councilman Bagan.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Organ.
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz. Oh, sorry, he's not here. Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Okay. Now we'll move on to good and welfare. Public input on any and all items. Again, you have a 3-minute time frame for this. So I'll have Doug. I see some hands starting to come up. So Doug, you want to?
Yes, I just brought in Mr. Howard Rose. Mr.
Okay.
Rose, before you start, I remember we were having some technical difficulties last time with you. Are you there? Mr. Rose? Mr. Howard Rose?
Give him
He's
a
not
second, because last time he was just on a slight
Yeah.
delay.
I recall. Before he starts, then I just want to take this time to remind our members of the public that please try your best to keep your comments to 3 minutes. I will be keeping a time. If you get to 3 minutes, 5 seconds, it will be okay. But anything past that, I will unfortunately have to cut
Mr.
you off. Please don't take it personal. Yes, sir.
Mr. Clerk, if we can just not give them the every 10-second status of where they're holding on the, it's let them speak until right towards the end. I know it distracts people when they're in the middle of something and they hear you talk and they don't hear it, and every person stops. So we can just let them go to 3 minutes, maybe one warning and soft warning like you did, and let's move on. Thanks.
Okay, you got it. Definitely, Deputy Mayor. Received. Mr. Rose, I apologize for the interruption. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you all. Good day. Howard Rose speaking. I'm talking not as an elected official nor an appointed official, but as a resident. Regarding the history project, what a wonderful idea. I'm wondering though, we have an oral history, a BLM type of movement, a library is collecting information orally on the pandemic. Can't we get all of this to be a little bit more inclusive and all inclusive in the sense that we tie it all together under one unit, so it's coordinated? On the housing, the 1425 that was done at the planning board just recently it's interesting. There's a lot to be said for it. It's unfortunate though that the cart is before the horse. It would be wonderful if we had the housing project, a housing authority for Teaneck in the meantime, to coordinate it so that the benefits go to current Teaneck residents who have a need for it. And I'm wondering if we can get some statement regarding whether or not, if council moves quickly on something like that, whether it could be applying to that project, or does it have to be something that's in effect prior to the project, as opposed to while it's an ongoing discussion and possibly eventually an actual realized project going forward. Regarding Javon's statement, Zoom for seniors all the time. What a simple statement that should have been thought of a long time ago. All of these meetings should be on Zoom. It would make an evening meeting accessible for everyone who didn't want to leave their home. And secondly, I'll tell you, because I'm looking at my TV and my computer, the Zoom meeting has wonderful clarity. The television meeting that I'm looking at also looks like it's under a fog. It's a California forest fire. Smoke is in front of the screen. It's terrible. So again, more clarity on the Zoom than otherwise. COVID. Dean, thank you for the statistics. My thought regarding that is it'd be interesting to know what the trend is, meaning a graph. This 107 deaths, a horrible figure, but has it been 106 5 weeks ago and 107 3 weeks ago and 0 for the last 3 weeks? It'd be interesting to see exactly where we're going with this. And I think to see a trend where it's so far down and stable would give us all a feeling of a little bit more security and comfort. That's it. Thank you very much.
I
Thank
didn't
you,
even
Howard.
need to remind you, Mr. Rose. Thank you very much for sharing.
Uh,
A
think-
Javalda.
Yeah.
Javalda, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Hello. Mayor Dunleavy, you mentioned that I'm speaking on behalf of the Black Lives Matter Street Mural Committee. You mentioned that we came and created a problem for the township and bringing a proposal forward for a Black Lives Matter street mural. The mural was brought forward as a positive message. The committee's come forth in good faith to align with the communities across the country that want to commission and have commissioned Black Lives Matter street murals. We participated in meetings in good faith. We heard from you and the attorney that there were some issues, legal issues that we needed to consider, and as with Dean as well, and that there was a way around them, which was to declare it as an action and speech of the council. But in order for that to happen, the council would have to take ownership of that and want a Black Lives Matter street mural. I told you then that there was some distrust from our committee and the community. We have over 3,000 petitions and beyond 3,000 signatures on the petition, but even beyond that, we get phone calls. We talk to people in the community and they're like, you got to be careful because they're trying to water down the street mural. So we as a committee said, you know what? We will have to compromise, of course. So we came back with another proposal that added additional sites that we were okay with. We added additional designs and said, look, what about these designs? So all along, we've been trying to work. You mentioned that there were some people that had an issue on the council with names being put on it. And I was glad that Deputy Mayor Katz spoke up and vocalized what he felt. And he said that he would not vote for anything that had Philip Pinnell's name on it. He then came into the meeting, the last meeting that we had, and said the same thing and mentioned that the only way we'd be able to get a Black Lives Matter street mural is if we conceded and said, okay, we'll do the mural without the names. So at that point, we had already mentioned that this was a non-negotiable of ours. And there are lots of reasons why, and we went over all of those reasons. But then we decided, you know what, maybe we will talk with the Board of Ed about it. We spoke with Dr. Irving, not any other board members or anything like that. And then we had a meeting yesterday and we decided, you know what, maybe we should just go ahead and just get this Black Lives Matter street mural down. And that's when you got the email. We did that email. O'Dane wrote it, but he wrote it and read it to us in the meeting to make sure we're all on the same page that, you know what, it's more important to get a street mural down. The fact that you would say we're manipulating kids, my career is advocating for kids, okay? There's no manipulation going on here. And I'm not bought or sold by any politician. I haven't even decided who I'm voting for yet in the board election. This has nothing to do with that.
Ms. Powell.
So I take offense to that. And I want you to know, you are showing that we cannot trust our elected officials. This is a lesson in Civics 101 for these young people. We don't have to say a word, you're doing it. We thought we couldn't trust you, and now you're proving that. You're going back on the things that we talk about in these meetings. We want a Black Lives Matter mural in Teaneck. The council can make it happen without those legal issues. You know that if you wanted it, you can get it done without those same legal issues. You keep bringing that up, but those are not the points that are at issue.
Ms. Powell, please find the period. I apologize.
That is the period. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Javalda.
Thank you for sharing, Ms. Powell. I saw another hand. Odine. Odine, I just brought you in.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Great. This is O'Dane Creepy White. I'm speaking on behalf of the Black Lives Matter Mural Committee. I know I missed part of the meeting. I was in class, but I just want to reiterate what Ms. Powell said. And we've been with you guys the entire time. We came in trying to do a project that would unite the community. And we've been facing problems since July. I was a senior in high school. Now I'm starting college. And it shouldn't have taken this long, but you know, we're trying to get it done, so we'll do what we have to do. And through this, we've been making compromises the entire time as well. And I just wanted to restate that there is no sort of manipulation going on. Ms. Powell's been helping us along the entire way. We had the meeting last night. She explained the whole timeline, but last night is when we decided that, you know what, we want to get this done. So if we have to take the names off, even though that was one of our non-negotiables, we'll take the names off because this is about the bigger picture. and it'd be better to have the mural than to not have the mural. So that's what we decided. And I just wanted to say that, you know, this is really a project for the town. It's not just our thing. There's no sort of political whatever going on. We're just trying to get it done. And I hope that you guys are trying to do the same. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing, Odin.
Thank you, Odin.
O'Dane, but
I'm
thank you.
sorry, Odin. I always do that to you. I'm sorry.
All right. It's all right.
Thank you, O'Day.
O'Dane.
Odin. Sorry.
O'Dane.
Odin.
Yeah, it's like pain, but O'Dane. That helps.
Thank you, O'Dane. I'm sorry.
There we go. No
Be
problem.
safe out there, sir.
Thank
Mr. Willie Thornton. Ms. Willie Thornton. Thank you, thank you, Councilman Kaplan. I'm screwing up.
Yes. I am so disappointed. I'm so disappointed in the way that the mayor, I mean, how dare you? We have been since July trying to get this mirror done. All these weeks, you said 5 times. Last night we got together and we had, what happened was it was non-negotiable. We said we want Philip Pennell's name on it. So last night, the Pennell said, listen, if you guys really want to go without the names, we had long discussions about that because I feel passionate that his name should go on a Black Lives Matter because it's history. He got killed in this town in Teaneck. And just like Mark, when you do when we talk about the history, we can't erase that. We can't take back that young 16-year-old, that it happened. It's history. So we said last night, we were very heartbroken because we said, okay, let the town let them go ahead. But let me tell you, we're not just stopping at one initiative. We have other initiatives planned. This is a movement. We want to have workshops. We want to have other things going on. Yes, we want the Board of Education. That's an option. We want to have workshops and everything. And for you to say that we manipulated, how dare you, and big something going on here. No, sir, nothing is going on here. We're trying to help the young people who came to us for help, and we're trying to help them. For the town, how important. The last time I spoke, I was very passionate. I was damn near begging. I was on my knees begging you, like, please, township manager, we need this. Township manager, no, that this can be done. So we said last night, we said, okay. And we said to O'Dane and Kasai, it's up to you. And they said, we want it done. Let the town, let them do it. Let that be their project. And we'll work on the other projects. So don't say that about us. You don't know us like that to say we're manipulating and something is going on. We are reaching out to everybody. We want stores, businesses to put Black Lives Matter in their windows. So we got to come and tell you what we want to do? No, sir. We came to you for what we wanted you to do. Do the mural. That's all. So don't talk about elections and politics. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ms. Thornton.
Why would you do that? Why? Why? And when Ellie Katz came to me, he said, I will not vote for anything with Philip Pennell's name on it. So that was a no-brainer right there. So we said, to get it done, we made the compromise, and it broke our hearts. It broke our hearts. Thank you.
Ms. Thornton, I apologize. We need to try to keep with the 3 minutes. If you missed anything that you would like to be included in the minutes, please feel free to email me at clerk@tnecnj.gov. I got Scott Pleasance here. Again, I apologize, everyone. We really need to try to keep with the 3 minutes. Mr. Scott Pleasance.
Scott, you're on. There you go. Hi, Scott.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to also reiterate the misrepresentation that the mayor clearly stated in regards to the Black Lives Matter committee and mural. Our agenda has been clear from the very beginning, and that is to have a mural painted on the streets. This has absolutely nothing to do with any township elections or any thing associated with it. The other things that are being discussed, like you know, a community mural and so on and so forth, all welcome ideas, but these have absolutely nothing to do with the Black Lives Matter mural that has been proposed. Likewise with the street renaming. This idea has been going on for several months now, and it feels like we're spinning our wheels, and we want to put some conclusion to it. And the conclusion would be for the township to just identify a space, you know, that won't bring those legal issues to play, and just allow us to move forward. I mean, it's as simple as that. The biggest hang up was the names. The names have since been removed, and just identify a space to move forward. And for you guys to kind of make a decision in a bubble on behalf of the Black residents in the community is just totally unfair. And so from the mayor, number one, we're looking for an apology, because that was definitely not the intention. That's not the way anything should have been relayed. And number two, we're still looking for support to get the mural painted. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasants. I have a Barnett on the line. Barnett, can you hear me?
Well, it says I'm muted by host.
We can
No,
hear
we
you.
can
loud
hear
and
you.
clear,
We
Barnett.
can
You're
hear
not
you.
muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Loud
we
and
can
clear.
hear
You
you.
have 3 minutes.
Okay. All right, I'm Barnett Savitz, resident of Teaneck. I'm also the artist, the adult artist who was asked to be on the committee. First of all, I want to reiterate, I wasn't part of the meeting that was on Thursday, where Deputy Mayor Katz said that he believed he could get the votes if names were not on. But I was part of the meeting on last night, where the students felt that they wanted to move ahead with the mural, the street mural, because they felt that that was important and that's what they wanted to begin with. There was no manipulation going on, and I'm just going to reiterate what Javalda said. And we've been working very, very hard to help them. I'm really very saddened by Mayor Dunleavy, because I thought I had an ally, and I thought that you trusted me and the rest of the committee to not feel that somehow we would be manipulative. We're not trying to manipulate anybody. It was the students who wanted the street mural, and they also felt, well, maybe we could also do a mural on the Board of Ed property, that they shouldn't be mutually exclusive, and that Teaneck's a big enough town to have more than one Black Lives Matter mural going on, and both would be a community project, and we could, have the, community as part of it. And I just feel very sad that somehow, you feel that we've been manipulating children, and that's really, it's wrong. It's just really, really wrong. And we want other things going on in the town regarding Black Lives Matter. The fact of the matter is that Philip Pinnell was in fact shot in the back with his hands up. And he was murdered like many other young Black people and older Black people and Hispanic people by the police. And had Philip Pinnell been shot today in the same manner, I believe that there might have been a different outcome and the police officer probably would have been found guilty. That's my feeling. I could be wrong. I have no crystal ball. So I just want to say, I think you should apologize to the committee because we've been working with you and there's nothing underhanded. And I just, I'm just very upset. And I just really felt I had an ally, as somebody I could go to personally, just to talk to you. And I feel like if there's any manipulation and backdoor meetings and conspiracy, I feel it's on either your part or the town council's part. And I feel like we're the ones being manipulated because we don't have the power. You guys are the ones who have all the power as far as the street mural is concerned.
Please find the period, Ms. Savitz.
Okay, thank you, period.
Thank you, Ms. Savitz.
Thank you, Ms. Savitz.
I see Debbie. I'm bringing Debbie in. Debbie? So mute yourself. Debbie, can you hear me? Please unmute yourself.
Eliyahu?
Debbie, loud and clear. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. I am once again speaking on behalf of Lois Corwin. And everything that I say from now until I tell you is from Lois Corwin. It's again about the postal issues, but now it also pertains to voting. Lois wrote to me that she was unable to be here today, but she spoke to the postal inspector in Newark, and it's not confidence inspiring. She spoke to the postal inspector, and the postal inspector said that people should be advised not, quote, not to leave their mail overnight in the outdoor post office boxes, quote, end of quote. Especially if there's a holiday weekend, people should not mail things on a Friday evening and the next pickup is on Monday morning or even later if the post office is closed that Monday. They are taking many things into consideration about catching the mail thieves, time of day they operate, which mailboxes are more frequently broken into, and any other techniques used, but she wouldn't disclose any more. Lois asked about extra security for the mail-in ballots, and she said, and Lois quotes, "Oh, I hadn't thought about that." She said it was her understanding that there would be special boxes for ballots, but had no other information. Lois's investigative reporting is not going as well as she would have liked, but she thinks that this warning about not letting your mail stay overnight in a post office mailbox is interesting and should be conveyed and publicized. The postal inspector was talking to her from Newark, but said that there's a, quote, a lot of activity reported in the Teaneck area involving mail fraud. This is current activity. So as Lois says, this is not inspiring confidence. And what she feels, and now I'm speaking for me as well, it seems to feel to us, Lois and me, that one hand doesn't really know what the other is doing. The banks know what's going on. The post office seems to know what's going on, except they don't seem to realize that there's an election coming and maybe there should be a sticker on mailboxes. Don't put your mail here overnight because it might get stolen, especially if it's a ballot. And there doesn't seem to be coordination between the different interested parties in how to stop what's going on, or at least warn the public what they should do to make sure that this doesn't happen. Now, the idea of the ballot box near the municipal building is a great idea. And it would be a nice thing to have a sticker on the post office mailbox saying, don't put it here, go to the municipal building. Because otherwise people will put it there and it may get stolen.
Please find the
I
people.
think that something needs to be done to warn people that it's not safe for their mail. Now, I'd like to say my mother is going to be 92
Please
next
find the
month.
period.
Sorry?
Eliyahu, you're
3 minutes.
over time.
Oh, sorry.
Anything-
I'll leave it there
okay.
then. I think
anything
I
that
made
you
my
missed,
point.
Please send me an email, Debbie.
She did. Did you hear Doug, Debbie? Send him an email.
Yeah, Debbie, please feel free to send me an email if you had anything that you feel like you missed. I apologize. We need to keep it to 3 minutes. Reggie Pittman. Reggie Pittman, you are up. 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello, Reggie, loud and clear. You have 3 minutes.
All right, great. Yeah, I'm not going to take my 3 minutes. So Doug, you don't have to worry about reminding me. That's the plan. I'm part of the Black Lives Matter mural committee. And I was a proponent of the council. I know, there's been skepticism on how things are done. And I can say that the mayor has helped with some initiatives for the town. And I just want to start with saying thank you, Mayor, with that. So with that being said, Mayor Dunleavy, I was disappointed that you thought the Black Lives Matter committee was making this political. I know Mr. Pagan recommended the street name of Elizabeth to become Black Lives Matter. There was no political agenda. We just decided yesterday, as been stated many times, to negotiate our non-negotiable. And you all know, as far as a council, to work with a group and to come up with a strategy to negotiate with the council is a big thing. So we were really looking at the big picture, as been stated many times, for the Black Lives Matter mural, because it is a national agenda. We all moved here to Teaneck because it was such a diverse community that included all. Now I'm having reservations about that feeling. And to just meet with the students is like our Black Lives Matter mural only meeting with the children of the council. So we like to keep a positive relationship and move things forward with the council because there was no political agenda on our part. How this was passed with the street name without the Black Lives Matter mural committee being involved seems highly unusual, and it doesn't seem like it was inclusive, in my opinion. So I'm going to stop there, and we hope that we can mend this bridge that was just created. And Mayor Dunleavy, we hope that you will be that person that mends this bridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie.
Pittman, I'm bringing in Stephen Savitz. Stephen Savitz, please unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Okay.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. I had prepared a different comment, assuming when I heard that the team had, regarding the Black Lives Matter mural, agreed to remove their requirement of Philip Pennell's name from the mural, assuming that that would be what the council thought would be necessary to move it forward. And I've heard that secondhand information that Deputy Mayor Katz had implied that he thought he might be able to get the votes to move it forward. What I heard was extremely shocking and disappointing, and it started on a conspiracy theory without any facts or any hard data to support, basically implying that people are being politically manipulated. And to bring in the Board of Ed election, just because they're talking to the superintendent of schools, they're mutually exclusive. There's no right or there's no reason for them to have to go to you or anyone else on the council if they decide that they want to talk to the Board of Ed to try to get something put up on school property. So I think the apology that was asked for is owed. And I think not just by the mayor, but by every one of the council members who didn't speak up and ask Mayor Dunleavy, how did he come to that, his conspiracy theory? It sounds very familiar to what goes on in Washington, and it's just very disappointing. I think the people who just spoke basically, you know, spilled their hearts to you and told you what they really were thinking. And if you can imply that they were lying again, and because they had this plot, that's just not what should be done at a council. And unfortunately, if there's no apology by all of you, the council majority, unfortunately, continues to live up to the community's greatest fears. And I think the Black Lives Matter mural is a case in point. And it's why there was such a concern after the last council meeting of what the new council majority was going to look like. And what happened at the first council meeting in terms of what happened to the Councilwoman Rice, which you forget about.
Mr. Savage,
People don't forget about it. I'm just extremely disappointed in trying to make a simple point. At least Deputy Mayor Katz said he wasn't in favor of it for a specific reason. So what do you all say? Why are you not in favor of it? Was all your
Mr. Savitz, I apologize. You were well over the time. If I missed anything, you have my email address. We've corresponded before. Please send it to me in email and I will be sure to include it in your comments in the minutes. I apologize again, Mr. Savitz. Please don't take it personally. Mr. Alan Sohn. Mr. Alan Sohn, I've brought you in. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, sir. 3 minutes.
Looks like the deputy mayor had some technical and factual problems in his outburst about ordinances 25 and 26 before his head exploded. It's clear that not a penny was paid for any of the projects already built and not a penny collected to cover their very real impact on parking and emergency services. At least the deputy mayor voted to acknowledge his lies about the impact of development. The age-friendly Teaneck report makes it clear that there are thousands of seniors in Teaneck who are looking for affordable housing. 1425 Teaneck Road will be providing 40 units, but making them available to the near million seniors in the 5-county area with no priority for Teaneck seniors. Despite an investment of $900,000, or almost 2/3 of the entire balance of our Affordable Housing Trust Fund, there will likely be few, if any, current residents served. This council pretends to serve our needy seniors, but this project hypocritically won't serve but 1 or 2 current residents, despite the desperate need by township seniors for affordable senior housing. A council member chimed in on the school board candidates online forum and asked if the candidate supports the district's capital plan, which pays for construction out of its current budget. This council member feigned false indignation that someone moving in next year will pay nothing for the cost of this project. This same hypocritical council member will vote this afternoon in favor of a resolution that borrows $2.3 million to cover the costs of retiring employees. Someone moving in next year will pay their unfair share of the cost of $5 million to cover the work done by employees as long as 30 years ago who have left the township's employ months or years before they ever moved into Teaneck. Hundreds of municipalities have a Black Lives Matter mural, many in New Jersey, but we're told we can't have one because of the threat of litigation. Municipalities across the country have found a way to make things happen, while Teaneck finds a way to make excuses. A proposed historic mural or street renaming merely kicks the can down the road without explaining how it addresses the goals of the committee or the alleged legal issues raised by the mayor and attorney at the last meeting. How is it that a street sign on an isolated street corner will be immune to vandalism and won't be the trigger for lawsuits as a mural would be, or so we hypocritically hear? The mayor, and even more clearly the deputy mayor, have their own political agenda about delaying and denying a Black Lives Matter mural. But the mayor sat here today bloviating on and on with insinuations about the alleged political motives of the committee. These sleazy conspiracy theories by the mayor and the efforts to subvert the goals of the committee are shameless. It's a little too coincidental that the mayor is sitting here dictating terms to the committee and accusing them of acting in bad faith, while the deputy mayor gives himself veto power over content. Whether in the White House, US Senate, or the Teaneck Township
Please find the
Council,
period, Mr.
hypocrisy
Stone.
only matters if you have a sense of shame.
Thank you, Mr. Sohn.
Okay.
I don't see any other hands, Mayor.
Okay, we'll close the good and welfare. And we will start, to my right if we were on the dais, Councilmember Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just think that, as I was trying to express before, this is an example of why community and race relations are critical and important in this town. There would seem to be a breakdown in communication, and I can't help but think that it does stem from the fact that we do need to have better relations and communications with our community members. I think it was demonstrated for us to make the decision that a street sign, and it wasn't on the agenda. It was just something that kind of came out of thin air, and we kind of had a vote. I don't recall seeing it on the agenda. Perhaps I missed it, but now, I voted in favor of it a little reluctantly, because I feel that this is critically important, but I don't feel that it is responsive to what the community members have expressed. These community members have expressed that they are working in good faith. And again, I feel like they were mischaracterized, and I think that that's, again, speaks to the fact that we don't have good relations in terms of communications, race relations, and for us to make an assumption that a street naming is what is desired clearly is not what was expressed. And I think that that is something that we need to work on just as diligently as we're looking for development projects. We need to look at development of the human character and the tenets of this community, which clearly are breaking down. That concludes my comments.
Councilmember Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to congratulate Teaneck Fire Department Battalion Chief John Dixon, Captain Brian Taylor, Lieutenant David Brown, Lieutenant Andrew Gonzalez, Lieutenant Michael Tosney, Lieutenant Bill Fisher, and Lieutenant Alan Russ on their recent promotions. I'd also like to congratulate Teaneck Police Captain Andrew McGurr, Lieutenant John Garland, Sergeant Michael Sunga, Sergeant Philip Prada, and Sergeant Ron Boswell on their recent promotions as well. A number of our police officers have retired these past few months, and I'd also like to thank them for their many years of dedicated service to Teaneck and wish them the very best in their retirement. I'd also like to congratulate the new young officers we have hired and wish them the very best of luck with their training at the police academy. The police department and the fire department helped make up the triumvirate of our first responders, along with the Teaneck Volunteer Ambulance Corps. And I just want to say thank you to all of them for all that they do for us in Teaneck every single day. I also want to encourage everyone again to please complete their 2020 census forms if they haven't already, so we can have an accurate count that will help make Teaneck even stronger during these next 10 years. The deadline is next week, and the results will affect funding and resources for hospitals, schools, roads, bridges, and local block grants. The statistics and data produced by the census directly impacts Teaneck's ability to obtain the funding we need to provide services to residents and to community members, so please fill it out if you haven't already. And lastly, congratulations to Teaneck native Damon Lindelof for winning an Emmy earlier this week for his writing. He created and produced the HBO series Watchmen, which won a total of 11 Emmys. He also previously created acclaimed shows such as Lost and The Leftovers. Mr. Mayor, it is always so wonderful to see a Teaneck High School graduate do so well. And that is my time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Kaplan.
Hi there. To Mr. Rose, I actually did bring up the idea of video at Good and Welfare a couple of years ago. There was a lot of uncertainty about it, but I do agree it gives people options in this day and age, so I would be in favor. There were some residents that had brought it up at the time. I absolutely agree with the idea that council should take a comprehensive approach using everything at our disposal when it comes to codifying our history and making sure that everyone is represented. And, you know, if that didn't come across when I was saying it before, I emphatically want to say that right now. Regarding the issues surrounding the BLM mural, I wasn't in the room. I wasn't there during the negotiation, so I don't want to opine on anything that did or didn't happen. But one thing I will say is that from the legal standpoint, the cases that are taking place right now, such as the litigation in DC, where just this week on September 11th, or last week, DC filed the response to the motion that will decide whether or not it's legal to write things on the streets. This is a very open question, and while I understand the point of view that people that absolutely want us to move forward on something, we simply can't do that while there is an open question like that. Regarding Ms. Eliyahu, yes, there are always issues. We do the best we can, and I want to assure everyone that there are lock boxes. The clerk is putting out information regarding the election, and if anyone feels at all uncomfortable, they should consult the information that our clerk's office is putting out. And by all means, you can write to the clerk or even myself. My information is on the town website with any questions you have. Last thing I just want to say is that to listen to some people, you would think that a lot of people in town are at each other's throats. And I have had wonderful chats with my neighbors. I appreciated when Deputy Mayor Schwartz and Councilwoman Organ invited me to go on walks. We went through the northeast section of town. We went through the southwest section of town. And even when chatting with people that are diametrically opposed to a lot of the ideas we put forward, everyone was respectful. Everyone had a great chat. And anyone who is telling you that this is a town where everyone is at each other's throats is simply not living in the Teaneck that I walk through. If you feel that way, please find, and I see someone shaking their head, but please find my contact info on the website and reach out. I want to chat with you. If that's the view you have of us, I'd like to dispel that one-on-one. And with that, I will send it to the next person.
Okay. Councilmember Organ.
Hi, so going back to Mr. Rose, I agree about the Zoom meetings. I actually think we should start scheduling everything in the evening. I think there are a lot of people that can't attend meetings during the day, and we'll get a higher attendance with Zoom in the evening. As far as the COVID trends, I would urge us not to trend yet, because it would give us a false sense of security, and we don't know what's coming up down the pike. To Ms. Eliyahu and Ms. Corwin, I did send Ms. Corwin a picture of a mailbox that is tamper-free. There's one on the corner of Forest and Sussex. That's where I put my mail now. And to anyone that is bringing up communication or the character of the mayor, I urge you to realize how much time he has spent with the organizers of this Black Lives Matter mural. 5 meetings is a lot for someone who's sitting at work in the middle of the day now, taking time for this meeting and taking time to listen to what everybody is saying. There was clearly a miscommunication about the Board of Education, but nobody reached out to him to let him know why the organizers were going to the Board of Education. And sometimes perception is reality. And I think he deserves a little bit more respect than that. I think we're very lucky to have him in this time, and there is no better man that I know. So, you know, give him a break, because there was no ill intent. Just like you're saying, there's no ill intent on the part of the organizers. There's certainly no ill intent on the part of Mayor Dunleavy. I'm done.
Thank you, Councilman Organ. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, thank you very much. I identified my technical problem. When my alarm goes off, it shuts off my sound and I have to leave the meeting and come back. That being said, for the comments about the necessity for more affordable housing and affordable senior housing, stay tuned. We have some more properties that we're looking at on town-owned land that we hope can serve this important need. As it relates to community relations, I do echo, if someone has a problem, wants to set up a meeting to talk with us, by all means, please do. Councilwoman Organ and I have walked 19 out of 36 weekends this year, 35 weekends this year, I apologize. We've got more planned before we turn the clock back. This predates the elections, so please reach out to me. I've been advertising these walks. I'd love to set something up and meet up with anyone that has a problem living in Teaneck and wants to work on relations. Please, we gladly walk on over Saturday night, walk on Saturday, talk around the neighborhood and see how we can improve things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll obviously reserve my comments for the mural situation. Clearly, my use of the term manipulation was something that obviously evoked a response that I certainly did not want, because I still want to have the dialogue. So I apologize for doing that. I do know, though, that I thought we had better communication given the meetings that we had. And so it would have been, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that it would be my expectation that the group would let us know that they were going to the Board of Education. We had no idea. I was heartened, obviously, to get that email regarding their change of position on the names on the mural. But I will say to the public that that had come up many times even before Deputy Mayor Katz said it in an open session. That had been discussed in the meetings where they were told that the names were going to be a problem for the council to move forward with. I still want something. And I am comfortable listening to the discussion here that the group that wants this mural is working in their best interests for the town and not anybody else. And so what I will do is I will ask our manager to set up yet another meeting with the group to try and move forward with something, realizing that we have risks here as well. And I understand that it was a big ask to do those names, and I appreciate that. But please understand that there are some things that a government entity can do and get involved in, or get involved in a certain way, and others they cannot. I was also happy to hear that they want to do workshops, because that was something that I am working on with FDU faculty members right now to try to put a series of lectures in. So I also want to meet as part of the discussion with the mural as to what those workshops are about, so that we can try and put things together so we get a coordinated activity regarding race relations, not only here, but in this country. You have heard me on the dais. You know clearly how I stand in terms of where I feel the problem is. I have said time and again, it's not a black problem, it's a white problem. And I continue to say it, and I will continue to try while I'm in this office to do whatever I can to rectify it. But there has to be communication both ways and trust. Why I was not told they went to the Board of Ed, I have no idea. But I'm going to ask them when we meet with them. But the bottom line is this: the town is above all of this. The best interests of this town is served when we continue to have the dialogue and continue to work towards a better way for Teaneck to go. That's why I want once we can get this squared away, to start the visioning process that I've talked about for 2.5 years. That's where we have to go, to have that common goal, that common vision, that common direction. So I apologize for the use of the word. I did not feel that the individuals on the committee were manipulating the kids. I was thinking there was some outside forces going on. And if there isn't, and there wasn't, then I apologize. But that's how it was presented. And again, a phone call, an email telling me what you were doing or where you were going, even after you told me that you didn't want to do things with the BOE, would have helped alleviate all of this. So again, I am going to, again, ask our manager to set up a next meeting with them to discuss this. They know that I want to do something. They have been told that at every meeting. They heard from Deputy Mayor Katz that he too wants to do something. And we're going to try and get something done here. Okay, so it's not off the table. So I want to let the township know that that's where I'm going with this. As Councilmember Organ said, I've spent a little time with this. And I want to see it to fruition, and I want to see it done well. The manager wants to say a few words, I think.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to clarify a few things that was brought up under ordinance, public input. The East Cedar Lane Housing Project under ordinance 2120, so that it's clear, again, calls for a 30-year extension that provides us with a co-advantage under the extension of control. It also provides the taxpayers an annual $2,500 payment to the township's emergency service fund for the next 30 years, and that totals $75,000. That's a home run. We're also getting a new $6,250 monthly rent on the first day of October, and that's going to yield us $75,000 annually and $2.25 million for the term of the agreement. So again, those are numbers that and monies that we never anticipated. In addition, we're going to see an increase of $70,000 on top of the $130,000 we already received. That's based off the 6.28 gross shelter rent. And again, I think the agreement was an excellent one. I think the taxpayers are going to benefit from this. It's going to provide the township with a little more monies, especially in the emergency services fund, to get pieces of equipment such as defibrillators or things similar like that that we occasionally need. In regards to Mr. Rose, I just looked at the statistics I had with regards to COVID cases. On June 1st, we had 1,061 positive cases and 96 deaths. If you go every 30 days, you're looking at a 30 case positive increase. Our deaths have remained the same since August 1st at 107. That remained the same September until the current date. So again, we are seeing very, very slight increases, about one positive case a day, but the deaths have remained at 107 for about 2 months. We also have tamper-free mailboxes at the municipal building. I am going to check with the Teaneck postmaster to see if he can provide us with other locations in town that have tamper-free boxes that we can distribute to the public. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. I need to make a motion to extend the meeting for 20 minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 5:23, Doug.
3, you got it.
Okay. All right. Consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor?
Doug? Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion on the consent agenda for a walk-on resolution.
Yeah, I was
that
just
the
gonna.
Teaneck- I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask Doug to see how we could do this, and we could just maybe number it, but I know
Okay.
what you want to do. So let me ask first. Doug, Councilmember Pagan wants to put in an additional resolution. All right, yeah, for for the Doghouse LLC liquor license. How do you
Yes.
want to work that?
So Councilmember Began will just have to motion to walk in this resolution, which again is for Teaneck Doghouse LLC's liquor license renewal. It's a very pro forma resolution. They got the payment in just in time. He will just need to motion to add it to the consent agenda. Someone will need to second it. We'll need to get an all in favor, and then council will be
Okay.
able to consider that resolution as a stack in the consent agenda.
Got it. Okay. All right. Councilmember
Motion,
Khan,
motion to add it to the agenda, please.
here a second?
Consent agenda.
Second by Councilmember Rice.
No, I wasn't second. I had a question. I'm sorry.
Okay, hold on. Let's get it on first. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Discussion. Councilmember Rice.
My question was, we've had these long-standing conversations about walk-ins, and was it the timing issue as to why it wasn't previously listed on the agenda?
It was
Yes,
my understanding
Councilwoman.
that they paid it at the last minute, so they're paid, right?
Yes,
is that the
they-
issue?
Yeah. This is a pro forma resolution, Councilwoman. It's just for a liquor license renewal. And we were trying to track down the license holder for the last couple weeks. I assumed they were busy, and they literally came to the town hall at 12:30 this afternoon, right before our meeting started, and paid everything. I obviously have the backup documentation if we need it, but it's.
So I guess it's a time issue that it can't go on the next agenda. It has to be walked in.
Yeah, I was just going to explain that the deal with liquor licenses in the state of New Jersey is if you miss that renewal deadline, then you will need to wait until the next municipal meeting, which is going to be October 20th. So really this business, which of course all of our businesses everywhere have been suffering because of COVID, they will not be able to serve anything, any alcohol specifically, until October 20th. The only alternative to that is applying for this special permit that the state facilitates called an ad interim permit, and it's a very exhausting permitting process for applicants. So it's just a big inconvenience. for
Mr.
people,
Clerk.
which they do on purpose.
Mr. Clerk, just for the,
Hold on. Councilmember Kaplan.
just for the benefit of the public, this is an issue that has been coming up for as long as we have had liquor licenses. They need to be renewed. They need to be renewed on a certain time frame. And councils for decades and decades and decades have been putting these things on as they were paid at the last minute, because there's always at least one or two businesses that are late getting that check in, or need to clear another check in order to get that one in. This is something that is pro forma, has been done all the time for as long as any of us have been alive.
I just wanted to make sure that we were being consistent with our walk-on.
Yeah, believe me, I don't like them.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if we are going to add this resolution at this time, because it's after good and welfare, you need to reopen good and welfare just for this liquor license. If anybody wants to speak about this particular liquor license application, they have a right to speak about it. And that's a procedural requirement.
all
But
right.
that's it. They can't speak about anything else.
All right, so we have the motion, we have the second. There's now discussion, so now I'll open it to the public if they wish to comment on this single liquor license.
Again, this is public comment. This is public comment strictly. I see you, Mr. Sohn. This is public comment strictly for what will be resolution number 209-2020, which is for Teaneck Doghouse liquor license renewal for 2020 to 2021. And also, just to provide some background, some members of the public may be aware that annually liquor licenses expire on June 30th of every year. The ABC director extended that due to COVID to September 30th, which is obviously in 8 days, the same day that census closes. Don't forget that also. Sorry, Mr. Sohn, go ahead.
Sohn, go ahead.
I fully support the passage of this liquor license. There are mechanisms that can eliminate the need to have resolutions to add these liquor licenses. And I hope that in the future, we will make an effort to ensure that not only are these on time, but that when there are other circumstances where there are resolutions that are walked in after the agenda has been closed, that there is that opportunity given to the public for good and welfare. I support this resolution and I hope that it is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Being
Mr.
none, the hearing is now closed. Are we ready for the vote? So what we're voting on here is to include the Doghouse LLC resolution on the consent calendar. Doug?
So again, this is a roll call strictly,
call.
strictly to add resolution, what will be 209-2020 for Teaneck Doghouse. Councilwoman Rami Rice. I saw the yes. Councilman Bagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ.
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
I'm abstaining on all alcohol matters.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Abstain.
Yes.
All right, the 209 Teaneck Doghouse liquor license renewal for 2020 to 2021 is added to the consent agenda.
Okay, now we, Doug, gonna read the bill list.
Bill list in the amount of, so again, this is moving for the consent agenda. Bill list, minutes, raffles, which I don't believe are any resolutions, and the bill list in the amount of $9,395,744.28.
Do I hear a motion to move the consent agenda to?
Motion.
Seconded by Mark Schwartz.
Okay, discussion? Anybody have any resolutions or anything they want to pull? Okay. Hearing none. Clerk, let's call the roll.
Yes, indeed. Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Yes, with an extension on the bills list in the event that there could be a conflict of interest with the Board of Education.
Councilman Bagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ.
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes on all, abstention on liquor renewals 192 to 202 and 204, 207, 208, and 209.
You got it. So that's all liquor licenses, correct, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, all liquor license. Thank you.
You got it. Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Consent agenda passed.
Okay. Introduction of ordinances. Clerk will read in the titles.
Introduction of ordinances. This evening, September 22nd, we are introducing ordinance number 27-2020, amending and updating Appendix 3, fees and charges for township services of Chapter 2 of the Township Code entitled Charter Administrative Code as amended, respecting the fee for an application for certificate of appropriateness. And last but not least, ordinance number 28-2020, a bond ordinance providing for various 2020 capital improvements by and in the township of Teaneck in the county of Bergen, state of New Jersey, appropriating $4,841,500, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,405,400 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost. Ordinance
Thank you.
27 and 28 is what we're introducing this evening.
Thank you. Comments from council? Anybody have a comment from council on these two? Seeing none. Doug, can you call the roll, please?
I need someone to move them first, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion to move them.
Motion. A second? Is there a second?
Second.
Yes, second.
Pick one.
Councilman Kaplan, I saw your hand first. Roll call on ordinance 27 and 28, introduction. Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Yes.
Councilman Bagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ.
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Ordinances 27 and 28 are introduced.
All right. Having no further business on the agenda, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good evening,
Appreciate your
everybody.
time and
Thank
your
you,
effort.
everybody.
We'll
Have a
talk
good
soon.
night.
Thank you. Have a good
Be
night.
safe.